Hello and welcome to the 135th episode of DCP. This week we have a new co-host, Fran, but more importantly, there was a massive piece of info that was dropped this week, which we have to lead with. It's going to be the title of the episode. Been waiting a long time for this. New Tool album, August 30th of this year. Been
This
13
is not
years
about
making.
Fran, Swain, or Destiny.
It's about
No,
Tool.
it
I
is
support
not.
this.
I
It's been 13 years
I-
or something crazy.
It's been 13 years since their last album.
think
The
maybe.
biggest piece of news doesn't have to be Destiny related. It just has to be news, okay? And new Tool album is the biggest piece of news. But
In the lore, Mida multi-tool. That was pretty sure
it
they
connects.
were. Yeah.
no, see, he makes the good connections, and that's why the real biggest piece of news related to the podcast is that Fran is now a permanent member of the DCP lineup, at least until he gets tired of us or something.
An
Or you get tired
official
of it.
co-host.
So we got like a week and a half.
One of the two. We brought him on because, well, for starters, you guys wouldn't shut up about him in the comments. You're like, oh my God, Fran's awesome, and we kind of agree. Also, he's here.
It was
to
split
make,
between his hair and Fran, so there was
That's true.
50% were
we really hired the hair.
yeah.
Yeah.
We tried to get the hair, but the hair actually costs more.
It is a package deal.
It's like just getting internet with Comcast. It's more expensive to just get internet than internet and TV. Well, yeah. So we got the triple play package here with Fran, and he is here to help us with our ungodly, horrifying interviews.
Come on. You guys already do great. And this intro's amazing.
You're really
So
selling it.
I gotta
Easy
say,
job.
man, this is the best intro you've ever
Yeah,
done.
this is legit the best intro.
I
He's
told
trying to
you
really
I got
show
it.
Pope.
After
told you I got it.
134 episodes, you finally teed up. You were like, I got this. And the
Right.
crowd was silenced.
That's right.
Yeah.
That wasn't t-ball either. That was fast pitch softball. I would say. I mean, there was a lot of moving parts in that intro. You had a lot going
Lots
on.
of
You
things to
nailed it
talk
all.
about.
Yeah. You know what's funny
Right.
is I actually visualized it as T-ball, as the ball was put on there.
Right.
And 134 times it was like a miss, but that one time.
No, I just kept no.
So-
134 times I hit the tee, the tee and the ball together,
And the ball
or something.
bounces but falls off.
Exactly.
Anyway, Fran's here, and he can interview our guest.
That's right. And that is the true special guest tonight is
Yeah.
Swainstache. Chef Swain himself. Why don't you quickly chime in right now, Swain? Tell us a little bit about who you are in the Destiny community and being Chef Swain.
Oh, hello, everyone. I was a host of a long-time Destiny-focused podcast named Crucible Radio up until literally 2 weeks ago, where we quit and started doing something
Cold
else.
turkey?
Wow.
Wow.
We're so mad at you too. That's really why we invited you on, because we just want to complain for an hour.
We could
So-
challenge you to a podcast showdown, but it doesn't, can't do that now.
Don't play Destiny anymore. No, I'm just kidding. We did that for a long time, and obviously it's really hard to do 200 episodes of a Crucible-focused podcast, and we did it. But we switched our format. We are now doing a podcast named At Everyone, like the Discord notification.
That was available on Twitter at everyone.
No, At Everyone Pod on Twitter. It was close.
that's
Close.
still
Someone
really
has
close.
it, but they won't let us have it.
That's really good. So.
But we talk about a little bit of everything. But we still carry over the improvement focus that we had with Crucible Radio, where we try to get better at a little bit of everything. And this is more life focused. So our first episode we did about new jobs, which coincidentally all three of the hosts of Crucible Radio, or formerly Crucible Radio, are looking for new jobs or have gotten a new job. So,
And so,
Nice.
yeah, who is all on that podcast every week?
so
the
there
Everyone
is
podcast.
Bones and Birds, and
So it's the same crew.
same crew every week, me as well, and carried right on over. Last week we did kind of like a sleepover episode where we played some sleepover games, like
Any pillow
two
fights?
lies and a truth.
Was it a sexy sleepover?
Oh, that's fun.
We told scary stories as well. You would have
And,
loved it, Brian.
And again, so
I
for
would.
people, Oh, go ahead, Watts.
If we ever did sleep over DCP, it would just get real bad real fast. I'm pretty sure. It would be like the weeks where we have nothing to talk about, and it's just Twitter questions about poop, food, and alcohol.
And eating briar.
And eating Briar.
Yeah,
We
don't
might
forget.
just end up
Focus
eating
this
Briar. Okay.
That we'll definitely get into more of those types of questions about eating briar. Trust us, every show. So yeah, Swain, where again do they find this? Is it best just to head to Twitter at everyonepod, or where can they?
At Everyone Pod on Twitter is probably the best place to find all the links to each episode. You follow me. I always retweet the episode when it comes out. So
What's your Twitter handle?
at Swainstache.
Nice. And so, like on a week like this, where there's a lot of gaming news and there's, Destiny news, can they expect to hear that stuff, or is it literally maybe it's just about Game of Thrones, or what do you like when you say it was jobs this week? What do you expect every week, or is it literally a grab bag?
So, like I said, we try and focus on improvement, and self-improvement has always been our game, but it was always just focused heavily on Destiny. So we over the years when we did Crucible Radio, we have brought on sports psychologists and people that got really deep into the mental side of things, but then we got into the technical side. So there's always some aspect of improvement. And like I said, we carried it over. We're going to talk about, improving, like during the Sleepover podcast, we did like spa tips from Bones' girlfriend came on and like
tips. Nice.
just gave us like what you would do at a sleepover. But that was fun. Yeah. But like we've always had like fun bits on the show, and that's kind of where we took it. We're going to have fun every week, and we will eventually have a classic Crucible Radio episode, when things heat back up when it comes to Destiny. But we're not trying to heavily focus on gaming. We're trying to focus a little bit more on, we still have the gaming audience, but we want to help the gaming audience do something to better themselves outside of
Yeah.
Nice.
No, I like that breakout. So you guys
Swain,
have. Oh, go ahead.
Swain, I know you want to talk about the future, but I got to ask you about the past, because you got the 200 episodes of Crucible Radio. What was it like? What was it like doing the last episode? I'm sure you guys knew it was going to be the last episode of the Crucible Radio. What was it like? Like, what was the emotion like? Was there fear involved? Like, how'd it go? Like, walk me through it a little bit.
I mean, we've done one every single week in some fashion for 3 years now. That's crazy to think that we were going for that long. But towards the end, it was like, I'm sure you're all familiar with it at this point. Destiny kind of hit this lull where we weren't really playing as much. I naturally got really busy at work and I couldn't play as much. So it was always just like in the back of my head that I was worried I'd be on the show talking about Destiny and I haven't really played it. And it was just kind of like, I think it's time. We all kind of like had this natural feeling that we talked about almost everything you could talk about when it came to, Destiny in the Crucible. And some of the last few episodes, we actually just heavily focused on the all around tips. Like, what is the evergreen advice we can give someone that will stand the test of time? You can always go back to those episodes, re-listen to them, enjoy them. The final episode, though, was more of a look back at like the funny moments, the really fun guests. We had people come on and give their experiences and kind of talk about it. Having been on the show or having listened to the show, we had a lot of listeners call in. So
nice.
It was a good time.
So I was gonna say, you just started a new podcast, episode 1. We're gonna dive into more questions with you. I'm brand new to the show officially. I did 3 weeks. But I believe, Holtz, that you guys, were you going to talk about something else in terms of, changing up podcasts and whatnot?
Yeah, and because Tefty can't read our Discord chat, which is where you originally asked that question, I'm now segueing this question back over to Tefty, saying, "Hey,
keep batting the ball.
we're just going to toss this over to you." Is
I
that
think it's
something
very
we want to talk
exciting. So we've obviously we have a lot of interests on this show, and obviously Destiny is a big interest, but we also like to play other games. We like to have other discussions about topics and such, as you guys know, with the crazy shenanigans that can happen with the questions and where they lead to. So we decided that we need to bring back DCP side quest, right? Yeah, we initially started out side quest with the Patreon. And that got difficult because we didn't really quite know how to handle it as a team. I think we're better equipped right now But
Yeah,
here's hoping.
absolutely.
Here's hoping we're better equipped this time around to legitimately be able to say that SideQuest is coming back and it's going to be on a weekly basis, and it's going to be live as well, right?
Live
right.
at 1 p.m. Pacific on Monday. So
Monday.
for all of you people who are in Europe, that maybe you can catch the very beginning of DCP, but then you got to go to bed. Hopefully, this will give you a chance to kind of watch something more in your time zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and who is going to be on that podcast?
So myself, Breyer, and Watts. That's going to be the.
If they don't eat me
Lovely.
first.
Yeah, well, yeah, this is really Breyer with an
That's the
asterisk,
first episode.
assuming
Sure.
he's alive, you know? So
Yeah. Can they expect any Destiny chatter on that? Or are you going to avoid?
we want to
that
save
intake?
all
'Cause-
Destiny talk with this podcast because it's
Yeah.
like this is the Destiny community podcast. We want to maintain that with this show.
I mean,
Right?
it also streamlines this show because
Yeah.
Destiny Community Podcast will remain more Destiny focused as opposed to when we're playing other stuff and we want to talk about that, we'll have an outlet for that specifically over on SideQuest.
Yeah.
So Destiny Community Podcast can really be about Destiny, which I think is what 90% of the fans want as expressed in YouTube comments.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. If you are a fan of DCP because you like to know about Destiny, then you will have that spot, and it's not going to be interrupted by an hour of talking about some other game.
Yeah.
So
Well,
if you do want to hear us, if you
don't
do
say
wanna-
never to any of that.
I mean, yeah, like,
But that's our plan, though, right? We want to streamline DCP to bring it not being 3, almost 4 hours sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And have
Stick
an
to a
outlet
few.
for talk about these other games, to where if you are watching DCP and you want to hear about Destiny, that's what you'll get.
Exactly. Yeah. That's been our issue is that we'd like to be able to express our thoughts on various topics that are happening that aren't specifically Destiny. But there's times where it's like there's a lot of news about Destiny, so we're only talking about that. And then there's other times where there's less news, so we talk about other stuff, but we'd like to streamline that. So SideQuest is like an hour format where we get to really dive into other topics that we normally would have had like 30 minutes to an hour on DCP. And then DCP can be more streamlined and try to shoot for that 2-hour mark that we originally tried.
We're going to keep SideQuest in the same iTunes feed. So anywhere you're used to getting DCP, you'll just be able to, SideQuest will just get added to
Yeah.
it.
And also,
Yep.
Awesome.
I'd like to point out that DCP Live will still start roughly 5 to 10 minutes late every week, as we normally do.
Definitely not going to change that. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Do not worry. That is safe. And
We're not going to start being on time.
Can confirm based on my experience.
We told Fran's like,
Props.
we start at
6:16
6,
start.
and I don't know. Did the show actually start
No.
at 6? when
Not
you were
even
here?
close.
Okay.
Never. But that's all right. That's the charm.
yeah.
So yeah, is that probably all on that for now, Teft and everyone for
Yeah.
DCP SideQuest?
Just tune into this channel at 1 p.m. Monday.
Yeah. 1
Easy to
p.m.
find
Monday,
every
Pacific
Monday.
time. Yep.
Turn on notifications.
Yeah.
Because this
And,
week
click
there was a lot
click
of
the
stuff
bell or
about
whatever it
video
is.
games.
And hit the bell, hit the subscribe
So it is?
button, hit the subscribe button that involves paying. You can also use Amazon Prime. Be sure to check out the Patreon. We have a merch store.
That's what it
That's
was.
there's like a
Patreon /
Scuf
Briar
code.
Rabbit. Don't forget to check that out.
He's also bad at promo
Yes.
too.
Hold up. You know what? That is one thing.
really good at
We've been
promo.
trying. We also decided on DCP that like we need to thank the people that are making the show a reality every week. Like seriously, and that is the Patreon subs. So all you guys out there who have been supporting us through Patreon, also on the Twitch subs and all that. Seriously, thank you guys. It does make the show happen and make it a reality, so we can hire professional people to do professional things for us. So
like
Right.
Fran.
Fran says he's going to
Thank
start
you. And
uploading
have-
nudes every Wednesday.
That's right.
yeah,
It's
he
the
promised
tier 3.
hair nudes on Patreon.
Hair
Okay.
And having on amazing people like Swain as well. So maybe a good time to turn it back
Yes.
to Swain, right? Also, just as a note, maybe if you're wondering what we're going to talk about this week on Destiny, my bet is there's news of the new raid, the time that it's out.
There's a
They
lot.
dropped the new quest. Just
The
as a little
name isn't
teaser.
even- whew.
If you haven't been keeping up, there's actually a lot of Destiny news this week. So
Yep.
I always like to do that early in the shows, tease it. But back to Swain. So we asked the fans to send in some questions, and honestly, there's a lot of good ones. Where to start with, but I actually want to take one more note because you mentioned Everyone podcast. But what about Get Good for Life? Is that still a thing alongside Everyone Pod?
That is something that will probably take some of the aspects of the Everyone Pod, because Everyone Pod will be like a little, fun. It'll take some of the fun aspects of Crucible Radio and make it every week. But Get Good for Life is my personal project. It's going to be like a website, blog, a little bit of everything. I'll probably reintroduce myself into streaming again at some point soon.
Nice.
So, and that you can just go to Get Good for Life on Twitter. And that's my personal project that I'm very happy to start. And that'll be a lot of these chef questions I'll be able to answer there for people, because I want to help people with like food, like, because I'm a pretty good expert on food. It'll be kind of fitness focused, some finance things too, but
Okay. So yeah, maybe just to set that stage for those who don't know, who you are and how you arrived here today. Like, what is your just sort of general history with Destiny, but also your name? Sure. Sometimes some people call you Chef Swain, and then your Swainstache. Give us the lowdown on all those things.
So right after Destiny came out, I was in need of a new PlayStation, and I had a friend who had been playing, and he was like, oh, you should get this if you get a new PlayStation. So I ended up upgrading, grabbed Destiny as like the game I get. And I hadn't really been playing video games in a long time. And it just got its nails in me, hooked me in, and I couldn't stop playing for years and years and years. So that's what
you're an addict like the rest of us.
Yeah. Reintroduced me into video gaming in general. And there was a point at which I was like, I've been a chef for the past 9 years, and a lot of it is, head down, maybe some headphones in, maybe some music playing while you're prepping, listening to a lot of podcasts, probably 4 or 5 years ago started. And at one point I was like listening to some Destiny podcasts, and I was like, you know what? No one's talking about the Crucible. Like, I wish someone would talk about it, like, because that's what I was really enjoying at the time, and I wanted to learn more about it. So when it ended up going Reddit, asking if anyone wanted to start a podcast, my wife rolled her eyes at me for wanting to add more to my plate. But started a podcast, and the rest is kind of history. I'm still in the community, still attending Guardian Con every year.
Nice. Is that where you met Bones and Bird?
On Reddit, yeah.
Yeah, Reddit.
I met the two of them, and it turns out that two of them actually lived in the same city.
Oh, and where's that?
And I live on the other side of the country.
Oh. So where do they live? Where do you live?
I live in Philly. They live in LA.
Nice. Did you grow up there in Philly?
I've lived in Philly my whole life.
Wow.
Nice. I love Philly. How many on the podcast have been to Philly? Briar? Just Briar.
I have. I should say that out loud because it's an audio podcast.
I like visual bits.
That's a good call. He raised his hand. Okay, well, there's a ton of questions that came in, and obviously everybody else on the podcast if something comes to mind. But probably the first one to start with, since you're a chef, is this one has been causing a lot of strain for people in terms of peelers. If you're peeling things, and I saw this is a big deal. In fact, it's hashtag settling marriage debate. So this is a serious. You could cause some trouble here. Is it?
I think I remember this.
The straight peeler, or the little swivel perpendicular T peeler.
Like the one that looks like a razor for your.
Yeah, one looks like a razor, and the other looks like
razor.
What you would expect.
One that looks like a pen almost.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I have a very strong opinion about this because I used to be very much in one crowd, and then I moved over to the other crowd.
Oh,
wow! Yeah, awakening.
You got turned.
Yeah.
The stick one was my original favorite because it's
prison
fast.
shank
You can get you could cut someone.
Flick of the wrist.
The peeling taters one, just.
Yeah, no one sees it coming.
Yeah. Okay.
When you're in the kitchen, you just like stab someone real quick.
Yikes!
But I injure myself so much with that peeler. I've like nicked off tops of fingernails, like skinned my like knuckles off with it by like going too fast.
Wow.
The other one, the one that looks like a razor, is so much more controlled, and you can get very precise peels. You can do so much more with it. You can create garnishes. You can peel like stuff for salads. It replaces, some people have the attachment, like it's a spiralizer. You can just do that with a peeler if you're careful enough. So over the years, you pick up certain,
so you're off the
habits.
Straight peeler now.
Yeah,
the
not
perpendicular as this was put.
I've injured myself way too much with that one. And
so one about the injury, but you seem to admit that it's better overall. So
Yeah. The other
debate
one
has
is
been
like
settled.
there's a super cheap one that you can get on Amazon or something. It's like $3. Buy that one and just replace it. And when you break it eventually.
All right.
Is there like a Rolls Royce of potato peelers?
Yeah.
No, just buy the cheap one. They work great.
So don't buy expensive peelers then.
Yeah, that's one of those things like get the $3 one. It's not going to be different than the $15 one.
If you buy the expensive one, you're not really peeling anything. It's just like sitting in the kitchen for people to look at, right?
It's in a nice little
You
velvet
put it on
case.
Yeah.
display, Tef?
It's on display if you buy the expensive one.
It's under a spotlight on like a marble
It's got a
table.
stand
Yo, is
along
that a
with the
good
leather,
grips?
you know? Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, let's move on to the next question. This comes from Bungie's own
Oh.
Dylan DMG04, and I personally love this question too because I'm a huge fan of hot sauce. So it's a two-part question, and maybe he knows more than I do, but hopefully you like hot sauce. One, what is your favorite hot sauce if you have one? And two, he wants to know when you're having said hot sauce together.
Hopefully at Guardian Con. I don't know if is he going? Do you guys know if he's going?
My guess is he would be, right? What do you guys know?
I know Deej is going.
I'm gonna
I
say
imagine
yes.
usually there's like 3 people on the community team. One will stay behind, and then 2 will go.
I've had
Cosmo's
hot sauce
saying
with
'cause he
Holtzman
has
at
baby.
Guardian Con.
Oh, there you go. It's probably
Actually,
Deej and DMG. But okay, so probably at Guardian Con, there's going to
Cosmo said
be.
he's going. Maybe they're all going. I'm gonna say they're all going.
Then the
Everyone's
baby's going too, maybe,
All
'cause
the
it needs to
baby's
get there.
going.
Wants to
needs
visit
its first
Tampa.
experience.
Or no, Orlando.
Doesn't want to
First
look back
hot
on its
sauce
life. So, so for favorite hot sauce, do you like hot sauce, Swain? Do you have one?
I love hot sauce.
Oh, me too.
And I've had a bunch of them. I've made my own. I've done everything that you can, think of when it comes to hot sauce. But my favorite actually is from Hotness, and it is actually the Los Calientes, which is like the middle of the road version. So they'll sell like a 3-part gift pack that has like the classic, the super hot, and then there's like the middle of the road. That's the Los Calientes. And I go through that like it's nobody's business on eggs.
Yeah.
Put it on like
Ooh,
chicken.
this looks like a
You
good
can put
sauce
it
for
in
eggs too.
literally
You're already
everything.
looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, hot sauce.
Yeah,
and
me
eggs
and
is my jam.
Holtzman shared hot sauce at Guardian Con, and it was where we found the Formosa, right?
Mhm. I recommended on like a past episode of DCP, and then one of the DCP fans brought me a bottle of it to Guardian Con, which made the shitty convention food so
much better.
Wait, there was food at Guardian Con?
Yeah.
Somewhere. So wait, actually, I'm just curious out of all the co-hosts, but starting with Swain, 1 to 10, how hot can you handle it and do you like it?
We right before as like a going away present to the Crucible Radio fans, we did the like hot ones type thing on our YouTube, and I had the like the really hot like the last dab, and we did another really super hot one, and I'm not that great at the super hot. I discovered it that day. It sucked.
It really is poisoning your body and getting used to it. I'll just answer. That's how I am. I like 11, but you got to get used to it. Because otherwise it does ruin the taste unless you can handle it.
There's some like, don't get me wrong. There's some that are made to be angry and mean and not tasty, and then there's some that are like super hot. They're delightfully tasty, but they just stick around for a while. So.
Yeah, I like it to be both
Absolutely.
instead of just pure heat. But what about you, Holt? You
Yeah.
clearly like hot sauce.
I like hot sauce. I'm usually like I prefer more flavor, and then like, oh hey, this is a hot sauce. Like maybe 5 to 6 out of 10. I'm never. I don't want to get punched in the mouth when I put.
You
some
don't
hot
want any
sauce on
stomach
stuff.
pain in the next hour.
I got really close when I was in Japan, and I ordered like some
Curry.
Yeah, I ordered some curry, and I ordered like the level 2 curry, and
In
it
Japan.
was
Yikes.
not white people level 2. It was Japanese level 2, and that was
Yeah.
almost a
Painful.
mistake. Almost a mistake. I immediately like the second I swallowed, I was like, oh.
Oh god, you're getting the hiccups as well.
Yeah, I like immediately got the hiccups, and I was like, all right, well,
That's
we're just
great.
gonna power through this. It was fine,
A lot of napkins. Those very thin napkins that just break off all over your forehead.
Yeah.
Briar, what about you?
I like it to be hot enough that it makes me drink beer, but not so hot that I can't
Okay.
taste it. You know what I mean? Like
I almost spit my beer
I like
out.
it to
like,
be
hearing that.
each time I take a bite of the hotness, I want to quench the heat with a beer, but I don't want to be so hot that I'm like sitting there sweating. You know?
You don't want to lose the taste of the beer
Nice.
from the heat.
Okay.
You don't want to
Real
lose your
fast.
taste buds and your lips.
And Watts, what about you?
I really like spicy stuff. I'm a big fan of spicy stuff. But yeah, I don't want to walk away with my lips burning for like 2 hours after. So I don't know if I
Like in
can
the
put a
middle,
number on it. Yeah, it's like
3, 5.
high numbers. If we're doing 1 to 10.
Yeah.
High 7, 8s.
Okay. And last Teft, what about
Yeah.
you?
I'm typically around the medium side, so like 4 or 5 if it's just like a typical day. But if I wake up and I'm like in the mood for spicy food, I'll go like
Feeling spicy.
if I'm feeling spicy that day, then I'm like I'll go all
spicy.
out. But I also am not a fan of just pure heat. I gotta be tasting some delicious peppers in there that are making me like, oh my god, this is so hot, but it's so delicious. It's like
Tastes good.
yeah, it's got to be one of those type of things.
That's fair.
It's got to be rich in flavor.
See, now we have our heat labels for everyone. I thought maybe that was worth it, but
The DCP heat index.
right. But back to Swain real fast. So, should alcohol be paired with food, or should food be paired with alcohol?
I can say that it's like it goes both ways depending on how you're eating, right? Like I would say generally you're going to go to a place for the food, so you should pair your alcohol with the food, and a good place will suggest what goes best with, what you're eating, what you choose. But there's some situations where you can, you could be drinking something and be like, oh yeah, this is my main focus. Let's get some snacks that go with this. So
Right.
it goes both ways.
Yeah. But probably more so food with alcohol most of the time, right? From the sound of
Because
it.
food is what alters the alcohol. So
right.
Okay. So now for one of the most common questions we've had, which is if we all crash land on a mountainside, at the dead of
I don't
winter,
like where this is going.
week runs by. Don't worry, Briar. You already know where this is going. Week goes by. You've got to start thinking about who you're going to eat. So for starters, Swain, on this current show, week goes by, you're starting to starve. You're looking around. Who are you gonna roast up?
man, I've thought about this quite a bit today.
question.
This is the focus of top of my mind for the whole day. Everybody said Briar, and I feel like I should buck the trend and pick someone else, right?
That's right, Swain.
You feel like it,
Briar looks
but then you weigh it and you're like, well,
No, who are you gonna go
did
with?
anybody get injured? Is someone straggling behind here
No,
after
everyone-
the plane crash?
everyone is on the
We just
exact
walked
same level.
away.
it's
We
everyone's
walked
on
away.
an even
Everyone's-
playing
Yeah, we're
field.
just sort of malnutrition for a week, and I like this because
it's
you're the chef,
determined.
man. Like
Okay, which one of you streams the most? Because you're probably sitting down the most.
I bet you
I'm
Tef.
gonna go with Hefty.
Listen, I did 100
We have to feed
push-ups
everyone.
today. All right.
We work out.
Yeah. Look, the thing is, Tefty is also the shortest of all of us,
true.
and Briar is the
I don't know.
About a
longest.
foot and a
So
half.
we,
I'm shorter than Pepsi.
How does that?
Hefty's
like,
but an appetizer.
so wait, if somebody's sitting down,
I'm all
Swain,
beard
why is
hair,
that
man. I'm no meat.
Well, they're sedentary. You're thinking about like veal, where
Oh,
you're
yeah.
not moving a lot.
Tender.
Right? Yeah,
Oh,
tender.
Tefty tenders.
I
I will say
did
that,
100
like it.
push-ups a day, man. Come on.
that's only arms though.
Yeah.
My pack.
Holtzman, how many push-ups did you do
You hear
today?
that? That's my pack right there.
That you're just putting on protein. That's gonna sustain.
Oh no,
Yeah,
you make
that's
a good
true.
point.
Okay, but we know Tef sits down a lot.
It's
I
true.
feel like you're dodging the
This is
question.
true.
Swain, right? So you got that.
I have questions. I want to
Okay.
make sure. Like, I'm not going to go off and
I
cook one of
appreciate
you.
them. These are legitimate questions.
you
Continue.
interview all your meat before you cook it.
Would you
That's-
guys
I-
say that Holtzman eats the nicest out of all you? Because
No.
the diet is the best.
No.
Definitely
Easy
not.
with
So we're
shaking
probably
his
going
head.
to leave Holtzman alone, right? Who has the
Good
best
choice.
diet? That's a good question.
Watts is vegan.
I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Tefty because he's gluten free.
Grain fed.
Gluten free
Watts,
doesn't mean
you're
healthy.
Vegan, is that right?
Yes,
Yeah, Watts is vegan. She probably eats very well.
Yeah.
I try to.
Free range watts.
This is a good question.
I live in San Francisco, so yeah, I have a lot of organic,
I live in
green,
Seattle.
grass,
Same thing.
grass fed. That's
I don't
true.
know. Fran just
I'm
got
not
here, so
vegan.
we're probably going to have to cook Fran.
What?
Ooh,
The new guy?
the turn.
No, but I go to the gym. Wait.
You
I
know
do
what?
push-ups
Actually,
too.
I agree with this. No, you know what? We're no longer eating brighter.
I'm looking at
We're eating
Discord
Fran
log.
purely based on like how long we've all been here. He's the new guy.
Oh.
guy.
This is a great plan.
This is like if it's a horror movie, you're probably the
turn
first to
fast.
go to.
Jeez. Yeah, well,
loyal
exactly.
to
There's
the
no
rules.
loyalties.
Loyal
Okay.
to our stomachs.
Well, regardless of the fact that you probably would eat me, the fact is But everybody's decided we're cooking Briar up. And the questions out there as well comes in from Jeff McLean. And he says, as a culinary professional, how would you prepare a Briar leg for maximum tastiness if, you crashed and all this happened? So if you're, a nice
And
loin,
what
a
drinking
Briar
snake
loin.
goes best with Briar leg?
Drinking snake as well.
Drinking snake. I mean, I've definitely thought about how to cook human leg, I guess, today.
Naturally.
Do I only have what was on the plane?
Look, in a survival type situation, you can get really creative,
That's true.
Hold up.
Depends on like what's
You're
around.
the
I want
chef, man. Yeah,
Can we like forage for some
Yeah,
ingredients?
absolutely.
Yeah,
it's your fantasy.
What if
like a leg you're gonna have to cook for a while because it is still tough. So slow roast it.
Briar
Obviously.
looks worried, dude. He's sweating.
If I had the ability to do it, probably braise it because that's probably the best way to enjoy Briar's leg. But it really all depends on what's local to the area.
Locally
sourced.
We
can forage from the crash site.
I feel like you could get you could surround his leg in clay. That's basically universal everywhere.
Yeah. You bury it underground.
Just do like a super long cook that way. Briar's worried about time cook because he's worried he's not going to be able to eat any as well.
Yeah, he wants to have a snack.
You know what? No, though, but that's perfect because you give him time to heal up.
Yeah.
You take a piece. So actually, the good news, it sounds like you get to live and you can eat your leg.
Pair him with a nice airplane wine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what you have to cook with is airplane food. You have other old airplane food. Not much of it's left. So you have like coffee grinds and that's what you have left to cook with.
All I can say is I can make it work.
Okay. All right. So we're going to put it in the ground with some clay. All right.
Yeah.
We probably don't have too much time for more questions. I would ask, all of you guys, was there anything pressing for Swain or Swain, anything you were really wanting to tackle?
Swain.
Oh, man.
Swain,
Yes.
you've had crawfish before.
Of course.
Oh, I saw this question.
I've cooked it.
You've cooked
15 pounds of crawfish as a normal serving size.
For one person.
For one person.
Yeah. Would you say?
It's more about the time commitment to crawfish. Do you have time for?
I mean, dude, when
if you have all day,
Whoa.
yes.
No, this is the question is 15 pounds of cooked crawfish normal to eat for one person?
Yes.
What?
Wait, not in one sitting, though, right?
One sitting.
Yeah, you could do it. Do you
Does
know
it
how
cook
much
down?
meat is in
How much does
one
it cook down?
crawfish?
You could do it, and you feel like you're about to burst into a food coma, or
No.
this is a normal.
Yeah,
serving.
you go out to a restaurant, you're like, oh, it's a crawdad place. I'm gonna order 15 pounds for myself, not for anybody else in the group.
So the question obviously was about just crawfish. You could eat just crawfish, but a crawfish boil is more than that. It's usually like corn, potatoes, andouille sausage. So eating at a crawfish boil would be, you're going to eat like 3 to 4 pounds of crawfish. Crawfish is like so much garbage or surrounding the actual meat. So it's like you're going to like a pound of it's probably a couple ounces.
And a lot of it's water
actual,
too, I bet, right?
So, yeah, there's like water or whatever you cooked it in that's like hanging out
fatty.
inside of it. Yeah. So, I mean, you can eat 15 pounds, but it's probably like maybe a pound or,
All right, so we got to
a couple
clarify
pounds
this a
of
little bit.
actual
We are
crawfish.
talking about 15 pounds of crawfish.
Yeah.
Yes.
Crawfish.
So you weigh
but
the
it cooks
actual
down, I
crawfish.
That's right.
Yeah, it doesn't cook down. It goes in 15 pounds. It comes out basically 15 pounds.
What?
It's the whole bug. It's the whole bug. It's like a lobster. You take a lobster, you weigh it. It's a pound. You cook it. It comes out. It's a pound.
You're telling me people, if you weigh them and they finish eating
I'm
15
glad
pounds,
Fran
you're
is
going to
just
put
as
on
confused
15
about
pounds?
this.
No.
Because I would support that. By the way, someone in chat says like 300 crawfish, and they're really tiny. So I'm like, okay, I could probably eat that. But if you're
It's
telling
the
me I
time
actually
commitment
put
to
15
rip a
pounds,
crawfish apart.
can
I
you
can't
even
eat
do that?
15 pounds of anything.
Yeah,
Well,
so
like,
that's the part that doesn't make sense.
So
but here's the
15
thing.
pounds of crawfish yields like
A
2
couple
pounds of meat.
Exactly. That's
So
what I'm
like,
saying.
yeah, I can eat 2 pounds of meat.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
just you're going to be sitting there forever going through
It's 4
15
quarter
pounds.
pounders.
Yeah,
Easy. Okay.
it's worth it, I guess.
Is this like a
So
big
it's
debate,
a
Holtz, that just
time
blew up?
Yeah.
issue.
Yes.
All right. You know what? I'm willing to admit defeat and ignorance.
Oh, it was
I'm
a
willing.
test
I'm
debate.
willing to admit ignorance on this and have.
I've ordered
have
for our
officially-
restaurant 30 pounds at a time. And
for a night
For
for multiple customers.
well, that ends up being like 15 orders. So like you do it by 2 pounds with a bunch of other things with it.
this is a little curveball.
See, this is different though.
Yeah,
I'm talking. Holtz was saying it's normal. He said it's normal for
But
somebody
like at
to go.
like a cookout, yeah, you can just dump it all on the table, sit there and eat as much as you want.
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
Huh.
All right.
When you go to a restaurant, you're usually
Indecisive.
ordering crawfish as like an appetizer or something to like share with people. So it's very rare.
But not if you're Holtzman.
Exactly. Exactly. You're talking to a man who has been kicked out of an all-you-can-eat crawfish place because they had no more crawfish.
Because you ate
I believe
30
him,
pounds of
100%.
crawfish.
I mean, yeah,
They're not cheap,
they are.
especially if you get them outside of where they're from.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's my Swain questions, and I think a good one to end on. But up to you guys, because there's some big Destiny.
There is. Yeah.
There is some
June
big
4th.
Destiny
Yep.
news.
You guys take it away if that's the case.
Do we want to start with the TWAB and the announcement, or do you want to talk about this week's news?
I
and
would start with the TWAB.
Yeah.
Personally.
All right. Yeah. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. They announced the Crown of Sorrow raid is going to happen on Tuesday, June 4th,
The
at
day
4
that
p.m. Pacific time.
The same day as the season.
yes.
Boom.
Yes.
Back to
So
back.
reset's gonna happen at 10 a.m. You're gonna
Yep.
have till 4 a.m. to grind as high as you can, and then you're gonna jump into the raid.
Yeah. You basically got 6 hours from the time that the new content drops to the raid. So the raid race is going to be on Tuesday,
Yeah.
And recommended power.
7:15.
For
For
the
the first
first
encounter.
encounter.
First encounter, right? So
Oh, did they say? Oh, yeah, for the first encounter. Uh-oh.
this is going
You
to
gotta
be
get
interesting.
lucky with drops.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of RNG screwing people that day.
It's going to be a tough one, right? They've made certain changes to the way you can level up too. The Last Wish and Scourge of the Past will be unavailable until Crown of Sorrows has been beaten. So you can't even go into the previous 2 raids until the Crown of Sorrows is beaten.
Right. And also,
You can't
just
get
to
your
Players
clarify.
with stashes of ethereal keys from having a leg up in the
Yeah,
raid.
so just to clarify, the reason they're doing that is because there's been issues in the past with people saving that stuff up, so they get a huge leg up with light level boosting. And so their solution to prevent this is that you just can't even go into those raids.
Just can't go in there, nerds.
Yeah, it's just
That's right.
they cut that off completely until it's done.
It's the same how they fixed the Iron Banner hoarding of the
Right.
the power bounties. Like you can't cash those in there. Well, and they said that about bounties too, I think, and you're right, that they're capped at 700.
Yep, kept to
Yeah,
700.
bounties are capped to the season that you got them in. So anything you're doing, it sounds like almost anything you're doing right now, aside
Caps
from
you at 700.
saving exotic weapons to like turn in like from their quests, that's like the only thing I can really think of off the
Yeah.
top of my head.
Right.
Prime attunements will be reset to 2 charges per character on day 1, so you can only get 2 prime engrams on day 1.
Per
Yep.
character.
'Cause
But
if
you only
you
have
haven't-
6
character.
hours.
You haven't.
But you only got
played.
6 hours anyway. You're only going to be working on 1.
If you're trying to do worlds first anyway, but
Yeah. While characters build prime attunement charges over time, this is just more about that. All level 50 characters can earn prime engrams after signing in and playing during the season of opulence. Players may continue to build prime attunements over the time after the reset occurs. It's gonna be a hardcore raid race, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm super passionate about this topic, so I want to ask the question to all you guys because I never got to have this conversation with you. I was at Fireteam Chat at the time, and I was
Never heard of it.
furious. Me neither. I just read it on Twitter. I was upset anyway because I have, had my full-time job, was very busy, and it was so unrealistic for me to grind up to Last Wish. It was just so unrealistic. I had calculated some 10 hours a day maybe for, I forget if it was for 10 days or 7 days or whatever. So I felt really left out, and I got into a big heated debate about when should raids drop. I see the conversation continue to happen about some people say, you know what, the world's first and the trophy should go to the people who grind the most. So if you can play 120 hours, then that should go to you. Then there's the other people who are like, how is that fair? I have a family and I got a full-time job and so on and so on. This is the first time that they've dropped a raid. I forget.
They did it
Multiclass.
for Crota.
Crota happened.
Oh,
yeah.
and Crota. Crota was the same day as well, I
Yep.
guess.
Crota was literally the rate or the DLC launched, and we were rating it like midnight when it launched.
What was it? The same power level and stuff? I can't.
Yes, it was launched.
It was.
To be fair, Crota was
at
like
same.
20 minutes of content, right?
Not day one, it wasn't.
Yeah,
Day one, I think it was like 3 hours until the raid was cleared.
it was a
Something
ways.
like that.
3 hours?
And
Okay.
the only reason it was
So
it was very short for Crota's End because
It was short, yeah.
they had the team that beat it had someone else come in to be sword bearer that had been just playing and leveling naturally.
That's right. I
Was it
remember
3
that
hours? I thought
controversy.
like people got straight up locked, and then the first person that they had that hit 31, because the reason why Crota was like that was that if you had only people that were level 30 on your team, there was no way that you could actually complete it. You had to have at least one level 31 on your team in Crota
that's what I thought exactly.
to be the
But
sword bearer.
anyway, first things first. By the way, Morla Gorndona is in chat. She's Eris herself. So hi, Eris. I love Morla. She's great. A friend of mine. But
She's
that
also from
aside,
New Orleans, and she can attest
Oh,
that
yeah.
ship 15 pounds of crawfish is normal.
Has she ever eaten 15 months?
yeah, we'll find out.
She's
Morla.
from New Orleans, of
A
course.
normal person
should
going
get her
to a
on
restaurant
sometime.
saying, "I'll take 15 pounds of crawdads, please, and thank you, and pair it with the best wine you got."
But
anyway,
pair that with a Dixie beer, and you're
Okay,
good.
wait, but let's get back to the so. But where do you guys land on what is sort of the philosophy? Should it, the way I always put it, should it be inclusive? Do you see it as inclusive or exclusive, depending on how they drop the raid? And what do you think of this one?
So, I don't know. I always see like the argument of, oh, there should be plenty of time given to players to get to the power cap more or less, and
Power
then
per hour.
yeah, like give it 3 weeks, and everyone's basically on the same even playing field. It gives time for RNG to kind of work out its magic. I don't know. To me, launching the raid at this is the exact same thing because you had an entire season to basically get a power cap. Everyone's going in at 700. Basically, yes, you have 6 hours to get your light level up, but in the
Cross your
grand scheme of
fingers.
things, there's not a whole lot you can do during that time. There's not a whole lot of prep work due to the way they change bounties and engrams and everything like that.
Somebody will figure it out.
Someone will figure it
There
out.
will be an
and-
exploit.
Little window opened,
So yeah.
So what do you prefer? Are you okay with it this way? I mean, we haven't done it yet, but
Yeah, it's hard to say without doing it. Personally, I prefer it this way because then if your priority is to do the raid and bash your head against it, you can do that. You have the priority. But if you just want to like take an easier time, go in, level up, and then have an easier time in the raid, you can do that as well. My problem has always been like, oh, great, I don't get to actually experience and enjoy the content that comes with a new season or a new expansion because I'm so focused on playing optimally and grinding and trying to get my light up as much as possible. And it kind of sours the experience for someone who's trying to be optimal specifically for the raid. Well, now the only thing I have to do to basically be optimal is, have a month of prep time to think if there's anything I can possibly do to give myself an edge. And then take care of it during that 6 hours and then just fucking, all right, now it's up to me and my raid team to not suck.
I kind of agree, Holtzman, that like you're all kind of going in at the same level, but it's like there's a very good chance this is on the Leviathan, right? That this is like that's where the raid will probably
It's
be.
called Crown of Sorrow, whatever.
That
the hell
sounds Hyvey, but from my experience, like a lot of they tend to like to do puzzly things with their raids, especially with
early
the first
on.
raid.
There's usually some sort of puzzly type thing that has to.
And like the what was it? The first raid they put out for Destiny 2, it was almost entirely puzzly. You really didn't have to be up too far in level to like the dogs didn't really involve much DPS until you got to the very end. It was kind of puzzly. Running the gauntlet was fun. I feel like they might be, it would be nice if they trended this towards, being more of a puzzle solver than it was like a DPSer.
Last Wish and Scourge have not really been that way, though. If you weren't prepared, and them saying first encounter 715 says to me, you're going to expect some pretty tough enemies.
Yeah, do you think it's
So they
gonna?
do call it out a little bit in the TWAB here. They say the raid is a challenge geared toward testing a fire team's ability to learn and execute on the mechanics, as well as their ability to overcome enemies and bosses together.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it'd be nice to be able to do it day one. I haven't done a raid on day one since September. So it's not in my cards. So I've always just kind of been like, I'll get there when I get there. I like watching the raid race from afar. So I've been there on those like 12-hour days where you're just banging your head against the raid, trying to do it blind, and not for me.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to if it's going to be 750 max light. So like the raid is going to go up to like 740 or 745 or something.
Yeah.
If that is the case, it could be a multiple day raid race then.
You think?
I don't think it's going to be. I think based on how Scourge went, I think it's going to be another 2 to 6 hour, depending on if things go okay. I mean, you know how these things go. I don't think anybody expected Last Wish to go.
I didn't expect them to get stuck in the Niobe labs for almost 3 days. So
Exactly.
True.
Yeah,
So I think unless the unknown goes wrong, what you normally see with DLC content, that's pretty swift. And again, I don't think that's bad. I think 2 or 6 hours, like for a really good team, by the way. It took me, I was in the top, it was in front. We were racing out, in front. I was doing good for a while without having to DPS a bunch of enemies. And then I got sort of light locked and the team fell apart. But long story short, meaning I went from maybe being able to do it from, a couple hours to it took like, I don't know if it was 11 hours or 13 hours for Scourge, but I thought that balance was pretty fair in a way.
Scourge worked out pretty well.
I really, I think asking, you guys and Datto or anyone who stays up 20 some hours to try to do something, that's just like.
So I have definite feelings about this. And on one end, it's prestigious. So it makes sense, the people who have been able to set themselves up to put their teams in those positions to be able to do it, to have the grind. It's a prestigious event to be able to take the lead and be able to become out as number one. But on the other hand, I think it's really cool when you see people who just enjoy playing Destiny and have the opportunity to be able to become the potential first team to knock out a raid. Like I kind of miss those Destiny days when it still felt relatively open, and it's become. I feel like it's become more and more like if you're a streamer, you have infinitely more potential to be able to get this at this point. Right. You know what I mean? And like I like the prestige of it. I like the prestige of it, but I miss the days that anybody could be a wild card that could come out that isn't technically a full-time streamer.
I feel like that's what this addresses, though. Is like everybody's going to have 6 hours, and then they're just going to have to go into the raid.
I don't know though. On a Tuesday,
like, assuming you can get the day off from work, you got as much of a choice. You got as much of a chance as a streamer.
I like them giving a heads up though, because with some of the past DLCs recently, it's just been like hasn't been enough to warrant a day off from work. So it's like if you want to do this, at least you have.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what I think is good about it is they have given a pretty decent amount of heads up where usually they don't in terms of when the raid's gonna release. So if you are someone that maybe does want to tackle it, maybe you can take a day off, maybe you can take 2 days off. I know it's not the best workaround, but it feels like this is going to be open to more people just because they have announced it so much further ahead. The one thing I do worry about is that for anyone in Europe or basically not in America, this is a terrible time because it launches at 4 p.m. Pacific, which is even for East Coast, if you're looking to stay in there for 5, 6, 7 hours, you're going to be up really late.
Yeah. It's like midnight-ish in Europe, and then if you go Australia, actually Australia's morning, isn't it?
Probably be waking up to it.
But that's not asking a lot. I mean, actually 4 p.m. is totally reasonable for Australia. It's more Europe is that normally you'd be going to bed, but now you have to think about pulling an all-nighter. But there you go. Maybe the raid is only, frankly, maybe they're thinking it'll be 2 to 4 hours, which that's not, if you want to do World's First, midnight to 4 a.m., like, that's not asking a lot.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. There's never a perfect time though, right?
Exactly.
You can't do a staggered launch of a raid and expect World First to be a thing.
Yeah.
Like someone's going to get screwed when you launch a raid. Like,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah,
it's just the
absolutely.
nature of it.
Yeah, and honestly, this does look like the best possible solution. The only issue is that like console kind of gets screwed because of download times. You know, just a whole bunch of people downloading on PS4. It's most likely going to cost them an hour or two, right there, of leveling. And then there's this talk of other people who are going to have like 12 man raid teams. So there's a 6-man that goes in, starts clearing everything, and then there's this other 6-man that's leveling while that's happening that can then swap out, and that's essentially what happened with Crota.
Yeah.
Again, it starts pushing it further and further away from the excitement of a wild card being able to do it, and now it's becoming more and more like a professional team.
Yeah.
They'd have to make it. They'd have to change the rules. Like that would have to be on Bungie's side, right? Where it's like
True.
it has to be the 6 original members that went in at the beginning in order to qualify for Worlds First. If you switch anyone out for whatever reason, sorry, but
Oh
Yeah.
man, that's
It's
rough.
really
If they
rough.
don't
But
set
that would
those rules
be-
ahead of time, then you can't
But-
enforce them after.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
They're actually they're what very fast point because I did screw it up. Is I forgot reset is like at 3 a.m. in Australia or whatever it is. So that's the problem. Is the 6 hours to grind is not as
Yeah.
fair for that side of the country.
As far as bringing people in, like in the spirit of raid races from other games, that's something that's also completely normal, is having people waiting in the wings ready to come in either when your team is too tired and you need to keep, doing attempts, or when, you have people leveling up, getting better, supplies or something. In World of Warcraft, this is just an accepted thing that has been happening since vanilla.
It's the
Always
same as
happening.
like as finding whatever works best for leveling up fastest. In my opinion, it's like using a strategy to win. If that involves swapping someone out, then that's a strategy to win. That's a team. At that point, it becomes a team sport. And
Yeah.
I like if there's no rules, then play to win.
Yeah, I don't mind the swapping teammates in and out so much. I still go back to allowing folks worldwide to be 700 all in the same playing field, and hopefully there's no exploits. Like I think that's a great thing, but I would bring up the point. I think it works fine for DLC. Like, right, it's just the pace of things. We're not sitting here even thinking about like, oh, but I want something to grind for. It would seem if this was a Forsaken release or Destiny 3, you'd be like, wait, what? The raid is out day 1? I think it'd be very odd, but I think it works really well for DLC, but it brings up the question of like, what do you do for a Forsaken or Destiny 3 or whatever? Would you want it to potentially be day 1 like this, or do you take the Division 2 route? And you say, look, it's going to be in a month, and we want to give everybody time. That's what I'm trying to get from everyone is, do you think people all need to be as equal level as possible in a fair amount of time, or that, oh, sorry, you have to play 7 to 10 hours a day, and that's just that?
For fairness
I'm against
sake,
it. Let me just say that. I'm against the idea that being exclusive.
For fairness sake, I see where you're coming from, and I kind of agree with you. But, like, personally, my favorite time of Destiny is those like short bursts of grind, those 3.5 days where you just play as much Destiny as you can. You're trying to eke out every advantage you can, trying to find every power up you can. Honestly, they're my favorite time to play Destiny. Like I love it. So to lose that would be a disappointment for me.
I mean, I don't know. I see the benefits to both, but I do like that this style does potentially give access to more players to join the race, and they don't immediately have to say, oh, well, I have to take off at work. I have to take off work a week to even feasibly be able to do this.
Right.
This is brings in more of the community, if anything, because
exactly.
the raid race, if anything, is a community event, in my opinion. Like, Destiny becomes top in the directory on Twitch during the raid race. It just happens because so many people want to either watch it and experience it.
Very fun.
People are sharing information via other streams. Like, it is an event.
Yeah. I mean, that, like, just so if you guys don't know, I'm super salty about, obviously I had the full-time job, and I was like, I felt really excluded. I understand what you're saying, Brian, which is there is this feeling in the air of like working so hard and grinding, and I get that, but I don't like that time becomes a factor of skill to a point. In other words, right? Like, I guess you had 10 hours a day and you could do it. There's just people who don't. So I just wanted to see a balance there. And so
I'm honestly, I'm with you.
So I like where they're
you, Fran.
going with this, at least.
I'm with you on that because I feel somewhat the same way. Because again, I like it when it's more of a community based type of thing where lots of people can participate, as opposed to a very small percentage that gets to participate to try. Because a lot of people just straight up don't even give it an attempt because they know they're not going to be able to devote 10 hours a day to the grind.
Yeah.
And so they just mark it off. They're like, well, not even going to attempt it. And I think that's kind of sad because like the raid race for me isn't really necessarily like a race, but it's like a community event. And not to say that it's not, because obviously it is. A lot of people get involved and like I said, becomes number one on Twitch. But I feel like it's a spectator thing versus people joining in and getting excited to not get spoiled. I see both sides.
Yeah, no,
I really do.
I could see for me as someone who full-time job and all that, I just want to be able to play it. Like I don't want to be involved with a raid race. I just want to be able to go in and not really have a ton of things to like. I don't want to have to dedicate an entire day to doing the thing. In all like cases, like I'm a busy guy. I would love to just be able to, hook up with my other 5 regular fire team members and be like, all right, we're gonna do this tonight. We've got like a couple hours of free time. That would be great to be able to just jump in and try it. Feeling gear checked has always felt rough in that aspect as someone who plays a little bit more casually.
RNG too.
Yeah.
RNG can screw you pretty bad.
Yeah.
Brian
Exactly.
knows about that.
Yeah, I got.
Like,
That's what happened in the last witch. I suffered the what was the drop from the well, but I suffered that glitch and a couple others, and I was just feeling left behind. And then, I felt left behind. So I did going back to maybe what they were saying in the article with the update. I like the thinking that it is all about, I always describe it as a timepiece, that raids are a timepiece. And that's the cool part, is getting people together to understand what to do, and a little less about, oh, did you grind, 100 hours to be a light level just to get in? Because at the end of the day, even if you look at Last Wish, if you just gave everybody, the light level they needed to get in, it still would have been very hard and complex. And I think that's plenty. I don't need to worry about the other 100 hours as well. I do think you need to earn something. You shouldn't just be able to load up the game and play. And we certainly haven't. If you want to be 700 right now, you've had to do a lot of work, but maybe, not on the first 3 weeks of this release, so I think it's nice. I don't think it works as well for Destiny.
It's interesting to me, what does a raid look like if they assume that everybody's going in at the max power level too? Like, how do they change the way they build that? Like, if let's say they wanted to do the division thing and delay the release of the raid by a month or two, so everybody gets a chance to be max level, to get all the cool gear from a DLC, and then we go into the raid at max level. How do you build a raid around that? Because you're not going to be able to use light level as a block in progress.
That sets things up to be even it's more of a gatekeeper to do that, because then you are requiring you to get to end game to get to this, whereas the raid, say it's at 715, we don't know what max power is. I think 7, we can just assume 750 750 because it's been a 50 level increase every time. So this means that the raid is now something that's accessible to other people to come in and play. It's I can go play this. Maybe it'll help me level up to get to end game. When you suddenly have the raid be at end game right there, then to someone who just wants to come in and play, it's oh, well, I'm never going to get to do that because I'm going to have to invest 3 weeks of my playtime to get up to max level and then go learn the encounters. And then by then people aren't going to want me into the groups because I haven't actually done it yet. I didn't play that much at the start.
You ain't got an emblem that says you completed it 10 times already.
Yeah, exactly. So, while I do understand that argument of, what happens if we just let everyone, have time to get up to that, that's basically what this one is doing. It's the exact same thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I find so interesting about it, though. Again, I appreciate the dedication and the time it takes, and there's some glory and prestige in that, as everyone has said. But from a design standpoint, I'm just make it difficult. If everybody's 700, then just scale it. So each thing is equally difficult. In other words, don't worry about the people who are 690. don't worry about, because that's not it. The entry point, they should think about being around 705 or whatever for this, and that's that. I don't know why it's more complicated than that.
We also used to basically have that where we would have normal mode that would be at like a lower level, and then heroic would launch later, and it would be like everything was at max level, and it was supposed to indicate a harder challenge. But
exactly,
they've kind of gotten rid of.
I'll be honest, I missed
versions.
that. I missed the heroic days because those were, and that became the raid that you played whenever you raid.
Yeah. I think that's the other scary thing is so much development time is spent on basically making 2 versions of the raid, and then one's just dropped by a large portion of the community.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, True. That's a good point. But well, okay, so it doesn't sound like anybody's against the day 1 raid or giving people time.
I think it'll be interesting. Like a lot of people have said, it's much harder for people to dedicate 3 to 10 days grinding to the right level than I'm going to take off, 2 days of work. I'm going to go for it. I think that it makes it more accessible. It's never going to be fully accessible, I don't think, when it's something like a raid.
Yeah, it shouldn't be easy. I think that's the often misunderstood part of the conversation. I've run into it when I'm saying these things. People are like, well, it's not supposed to be easy. I'm like, I don't want it to be easy. I just want it to be accessible. And meaning when I'm going in at whatever, if I got light locked at 640 because that's what was happening before this and got some med drops, or I didn't play 10 hours a day, that just sucks.
Getting sneezed on by a thrall isn't fun difficulty, right?
No, exactly.
Agreed.
It's all about the timepiece for me. It's a watch, and you all got to play your part. And that's what I've always loved about the raid.
So
it's less about the power.
As much as I hate speculating, this is one of the kind of interesting times to speculate. We know that the raid is launching day 1, and it's at 715 power level. Like, we don't really know much.
Recommended.
Recommended 715.
First encounter
is like the final encounter going to be at 750? Are people just going to be fucked? Is it going to be a max level? And also, what does that mean for end game, like the end game of this season?
Right.
Is there going to be an activity that actually promotes you being at? Is there going to be something that pushes you to actually get to?
Yeah, like YB 750 or whatever, maybe.
Yeah, if the raid, if the first encounter is geared at 715, okay, is it supposed to be completable day 1? Well, that means that it would have to be the end encounter would have to be a lower level.
Yeah, you might be looking at something closer to 630, 640, then going all the way to 7, then going all the way to 750.
Wait, how did what was Last Wish's entrance?
5. It is about a 40. Is like 40 or 50, I think.
It had a big spread
level difference.
So couldn't they do that
Riven
again?
was at 580.
I think this is going to be closer to Scourge, though. Right? I mean, isn't the last encounter of Scourge 640? Or is it 650? What? It's
640.
Man, I don't remember.
One of those 680.
Of Scourge?
Oh, 680.
No, Scourge was 650.
I can't remember.
It capped out at 650 on Scourge.
But they've done, in other words, they've still done, a 40 or 50 plus by the end of. And you do have time. We do have the 6 hours ahead of time. There's going to be a lot of power on the map. We don't know what that is. Well, that's actually an interesting question. Do we think power on the map is going to change with Season of the Opulence? Did they announce anything that comes along with this? Is there going to be a new adventure? We don't know. There probably is.
I can't remember what the roadmap said.
But Tev's brought up the good point for related to this. They are eventually going to have the new 6-person mode, right? And maybe that's the reason to be 750.
Yeah.
So that's a good point, Tev.
Maybe that's the end game activity.
Yeah, this whole secret about Penumbra and more secrets and stuff and things going on. I hope that's an interesting end game loop. Historically, it's been you do the raid, you have these big epic moments, and then if you need to collect something else, you go and collect it, but otherwise you drop it or you play PvP or something. I hope that starts to change with Penumbra. And if not with Penumbra, I hope it changes in the future Destiny, because I would like more in-game gameplay loop activities that are more engaging and keep you going. Because, like I said, I like these moments that you get from Destiny. The big raid moments, you clear it for the first time. It's exciting. Like this week with the Outbreak Perfected. These are big hallmark moments of what a Destiny player feels. But then the long term, that horizontal progression is usually Sahara Desert dry.
So there is supposed to be a new 6. I'm just looking at the roadmap. that one that actually says Season of Opulence on it, because I guess that's the most recent. Power increase, new vanity rewards, new weapons gear. So new raid, and then right under that is new 6-player matchmade activity. So there's
That's what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that it makes sense that
6v6
I think the
trials.
raid will
6v6
presumably if it's 750, yeah, right, 6v6 trials. If it's 750, I think the raid will still drop end game gear,
Right.
but
I mean, yeah,
and it'll become easier for all us to do. But then there'll be this one other activity. Did it look like that could be as soon as June, Holtzman, or is it not clear?
it's in the same column as everything else in the start,
raid
so
and
it
stuff?
sounds like probably June.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Is that wouldn't surprise me if that comes a week later because they need like beats. But I don't.
It wouldn't surprise me if it came like day one, because realistically, getting 15 light levels in 4 to 6 hours, that's a stretch.
But does it have to be this new activity, or maybe they just drop? I don't know. Like that's why I was wondering. Do we think they'll just drop some new adventure type stuff? Like we saw that with Scourge. I guess was it adventures so much as the quests, bounty quests, I guess, or what was it that we had to do? Remember where you just go through all the same parts of the world and there's tripwires and stuff? And,
The forges you're talking about?
Unlock the forges. Yeah, you were unlocking forges, but they were, I guess they were bounty quests versus.
Right.
So
I
the
mean,
captain bounties?
But you went back to some adventures, but I mean, I would expect that as well on top of this. But something to explain, like why are we going back to? Presumably, I think it's Leviathan 2 because it's called Opulence, and we saw in the last Vidoc when Luke or whoever on stream was talking about it, when they mention Opulence, they show B-roll of seemingly something pretty opulent Leviathan looking.
And on the TWAB as well, there's all of the like callous kind of art on there when
Yeah.
it's talking about the raid and Season of Opulence and stuff.
Oh
so,
yeah, the banner's literally the cup. For raid ready is literally the cup from Callus. Pretty much.
I hope it's curveball. Actually, I want them to be like, yeah, you think it's Callus in the that place, and then
We're
If I had to
actually
put
gonna
money
find
on
out
it, it's
that
the hive infecting the Leviathan.
What if it's the Dorito ships that have? That
Ooh.
are
I think
honestly,
that's
I don't.
Destiny
It's a
3.
thing.
I don't want them to bring that in one of these DLCs. I would be disappointed if they did that. But if they brought back like the Dreadnought, all misshapen from like a big hole it's been blown out of or something, I'd be actually wait, it already had a
We're gonna
hole
find
blown out of
if
it.
Callus-
Just bring the Dreadnought back.
I'm not
also.
good with lore, so I can't speculate why you go. I'm happy to go back to Leviathan, especially if it has
Bring
a
back
raid.
the plague lands.
The plague lands. Yes.
That's gonna be in the Rise of the Iron DLC in September.
Okay.
There you go. The Rise of the Siva.
Yeah.
Rise of Rust.
Rise to Iron.
Rise of Mithras.
Yeah. Big nanites coming at you.
I mean, we did just get our outbreak back.
That's
so
right.
maybe
Did
it's a
anybody go
prelude.
after the outbreak? What was the last word on it?
Perfected.
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 Thank you.
Yep.
Yes.
I
What did
did.
you guys think of that
All right.
quest?
Are we ready to shift completely?
This sounds like a transition time
Yeah,
in,
it's a
in
good
my
segment.
audio notes.
Yeah, because
So subtle.
Did we ever talk that we need about the raid?
Yeah. I mean, I guess we were actually going over the TWAB. Iron Banner is coming back. You can finish off the bounty. There's a hand cannon and a grenade launcher. Iron Banner, everyone. Clap, clap, done. Okay.
Final time to do your burden thing and get your emblem.
Yeah.
on the way.
Also, as far as finishing off the TWAB, someone soloed Riven
Yes.
During
Dope.
the revelry.
Yeah.
during the revelry,
Yes.
where there was a glitch that allowed Arcstriders to basically do stupid amounts of damage, but nonetheless, they were able to solo Riven, and they had to do it on 2 floors, which means to actually do this, they had to guess which eyes to shoot. Just
It's
Yeah.
like-
Insane.
pure guess.
Insane, right?
There's nothing to base it off of, like how with Callus you can solo parts of Callus because if you see this symbol it means this on the other side. No, this is purely guessing which eyes to shoot.
Yeah, like
That's
that part
crazy.
is pure luck. The rest of it obviously takes a lot of skill. I saw Slayer Age, I believe, was doing it as well, right? That's
Yeah,
not
he
who
was-
did it, right?
No, the person that did it. Let's see if his YouTube name matches. Tazzus
Shout out to
was able to
Tazzus.
complete it.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Absolutely beast.
Yeah, that's
I think
incredible.
Slayer Age had done it for some, I forget. Like
I
Tons of
saw him.
hours.
He was going for I think something like 22 hours
Yeah,
because
he's
he
like-
realized it was the last day to do it, and was like, "All right, I'm just gonna keep
just go
going."
for it. But that was
I
it.
think-
His feedback was like, I just can't guess these eyes anymore.
Yeah.
That's the part that sucks.
During that 22 hours, he was able to get, I think, 4 attempts to actually get the solo. Like, he guessed the eyes correctly, was able to go up to the next floor, but it's still really tough to do. Like,
Yeah, the odds are bad. There's 12 eyes, right?
there's 10 eyes. 10 eyes. It's basically 1 out of 49 chance to actually get both of them at the same time. So
That's crazy. Talk about gambling.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But anyway, congrats to Taz's, I guess.
that absolutely
That's
monumental
incredible.
achievement, being able to do that. And it will probably never be done again.
Probably not. Nope.
Yeah, the one and only.
Unless some other glitch comes in and like, oh well, it turns out
Don't
this
forget
thing
about
is-
next year's season.
Yeah, Revelry next
Yeah,
year.
Revelry
maybe
too.
Yeah,
next year
Revelry
in the
too.
spring.
Yeah, you're right.
Anything else in the TWAB?
Yes, there is one other thing in the banner, and then the final image in the TWAB. There's a very a new quest. Can you guys talk about it? Because
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about the new quest now.
They have
Yes.
the Outbreak Perfected.
Outbreak.
Right. So this is
So
probably.
this was discovered by someone on Reddit,
Yeah.
right? They were just like, "Oh, I went into the daily adventure and there's this door open and I picked up this thing. Is this normal? Is this new?"
what is this?
Yeah, which is really cool. I love that. I love when something just gets posted
Yep.
and it's just like,
Yeah.
wait,
It's one of the coolest things
What
that
is
happen in Destiny.
it's amazing.
So they picked up a little transponder thing. It was a very Siva-ish type of thing. Some of the requirements is you had to have done Enemy of My Enemy, which is a quest on
Yeah.
Titan. And I believe you had to let Mithrax live.
No, you just had to do the quest.
Just had to do the quest. Okay.
Oh,
So-
so that's a myth that you had to let him
Yes.
live.
Yeah.
It's part of the Rat King quest, though, isn't it? Or
Well, you get Rat King from doing Enemy of My
Rat
Enemy, but you don't have to actually do Rat King, right?
you don't have to.
You just
oh,
have
right.
to
Okay.
encounter Mithrax, basically, right, for the
Gotcha.
story to make
There you go. Yeah.
But it's-
so then you go up to that area and it says unlock, and then you can unlock and you go there and you can actually pick this thing up. So interesting little tie-in there that you had to have that done on Titan to actually unlock the quest. You get the
Right.
thing, you look at it, and then it's like essentially a puzzle.
6 nodes.
Yeah, 6 nodes with a bunch of, mystery behind it, and
riddles and
thus
stuff.
set off the race to find out what the hell it does. For those that don't know, this is going to be some spoiler stuff, but essentially it's going to the EDZ and Nessus and finding things in the world that you scan.
You find basically every lost sector with a fallen boss.
Oh, that's what it is. That's the theme.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So
Yep.
you get the nodes with all those, and then it gives you a final piece in the middle that's like full of a bunch of numbers. And honestly, I have no idea how somebody thought go to the farm and go to the
Well, there was
basement.
someone that found the space underneath the farm recently and was like, "Oh, what is this? Like, why? Like,
Was it not
why
always
they were at the
there?
farm?" So he wasn't there. It was just like a really long hallway, and they were like, "Why is this here all of a sudden?"
But the
Must
area
be
was
something
always there,
for-
right?
See,
I don't know.
I forget.
I don't think I
though.
ever went.
It's in the storm cellar.
yes.
But yeah, like I don't remember going down.
Yeah.
there. It probably was there. but
That's
I-
the biggest, sneakiest thing that Bungie could have done. They're like, let's put the place to activate the quest
that nobody's
in
gonna
the
go.
farm. And then I bet everybody at Bungie was like, the farm? What?
Yeah.
They're like, the playable space from D2? Oh, that.
Oh,
the
This was
farm.
yeah.
How do I even get there? Where's
Yeah, where is it on the
So that was
direction?
my biggest question. Did anyone figure out? So after you do these 6 nodes, in the center is just gobbledygook numbers. It's by the way
Yeah.
3,000, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. I think they watched too much Avengers. Done. No spoilers. But you look through it and I was like, is this? You can probably translate it into something, right? Has anybody figured that out, or was it just dumb luck? They just looked over it?
Knowing, okay, so one of the interesting things about Reddit and the community, there's so many people playing that you can just like, okay, we completed it. Everyone just go to a planet and see if you can find something. Oh, 2 minutes later, oh yeah, I'm at the farm and I found something. Yeah. So
Amazing. I hadn't been to the farm.
If they
So
were
I don't
in
know
a
if anybody
year-
figured it out though. Translated it yet. Maybe. But now we don't care because it didn't matter. They're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Just go and
So you have all
So there's
6 nodes, and then you go to the farm, which, if you don't know, is at the EDZ, and then it's a little icon on the upper right, and don't worry if you don't know where that is, because, yeah, it's confusing. You go there, you go directly to the right, a little storm basement type of thing. You go all the way to the back, you hear some grumbling, sounds like a monster, and it's a fallen captain waiting to, like, sell some illegal ether to you. Be like, hey man, you got some ether subs? Be like,
Yeah,
"Yo."
he's your bud.
And he-
Your buddy
Some
captain.
iridium.
Yeah, it says rendezvous, and it starts this quest. It's an amazing quest.
That's the piece that obviously is amazing. And
Yep.
if I can read what Bungie said real fast in the update, it said this week at Bungie TR3-VR was waiting for you. We'll talk about that more in a
Trevor.
second. Oh, it's
Yeah,
Trevor. I didn't even get that.
I didn't
Trevor
know it was
waiting.
Trevor.
I know
His
it
mind
makes
just
too much
blew.
sense. I don't speak leak, dude. So Bungie says what was once redacted is now live. Some of our favorite moments in the studio happen when players uncover the secrets in Destiny. Whether it's a new dungeon in the Dreaming City or something much more sinister, hiding with an eye shot of the Traveler. With the release of 0 Hour, which is the name of this mission, we got to enjoy that all over again right alongside you. The team who brought you this experience to life, well, they had a short message from them. I can read it real fast. It's short. So the dev team said, experiences like this are a salute to our inquisitive, skilled, and close-knit Destiny player community. We couldn't make these without the right audience to discover and enjoy them. Thanks for being awesome. And don't forget, Trevor is waiting for you down there.
Yes, he is.
Oh my God, this
Yeah,
quest.
yeah.
So did anyone not do it?
I didn't do it yet.
Okay.
I didn't do it, but I watched a video on it so that I could.
Should
do it
we
later,
avoid
so.
spoilers? What do we do in this situation?
We got to talk about it.
No, you got to
Gotta
talk
talk
about
about
it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Briar.
I watched a video on it.
There, perfect.
That's it.
then.
Did you guys get the do the heroic version as well?
Yes.
I'm only
not done
672.
Oh,
so I can't really.
light checked.
Got to get carried. Yep.
We'll have to work out to see if we can get you a carry through it. But yeah.
But so this quest is very like Whisper of the Worm level, right? It's
Yes,
very
there's
like
a timer.
surprisingly. It's not just going back through some old strike or something.
Well, it's kind of like going. So in the beginning area is like going through the
Yeah.
first mission of Destiny 2, when the tower's
Literally
been
the first mission.
yeah, first mission, tower's been busted, and you're going through it and you're discovering all that. There's a timer, 20 minutes, just like Whisper of the Worm. There is the heroic's different. So yeah, timer. You're going through that, and then there is a ton of secrets that just keep on unfolding, unfolding.
Like puzzles, basically.
Jump puzzles, space puzzles, like how to progress through it type of puzzles, which I absolutely love, which was very Whisper of the Worm-esque, right?
Yeah.
Yes. It's basically you start out, there's a big section of like a bunch of enemies. You kill through all these sections of enemies, and then you're basically greeted with, okay, where do we go? And you're just exploring sections of the tower, like going through vents, jumping on the outside of the tower, like just going through all these spaces. And it starts to get a little bit creepy when you get into some of the deeper areas. There is a little, it's like an old tower hangar type area, and there's this ominous being in there that
It's like
is
Mr.
named
X.
Trevor.
His legs are like
That-
this.
That's perfect, Watts. It's like I guess they weren't mandibles, but they were.
It's like crab legs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
So
they're
yeah,
like
you
little
get-
crab legs.
Yeah.
So first of all, right, there's all these jumping puzzles and things to solve, and there's like a lot of vents that don't go anywhere and vents that do go places, right? And you do have to do precision jump. There's trapdoor-esque things happening. So eventually, yeah, you get to this room with like a computer dashboard and you look on it. And look, like at first, almost thought you were going to get to play like a 2D game on the computer, right? Did anyone else think that?
I didn't, but that's amazing.
So I looked
Yeah.
at it, but there was like this map with like seemingly this, I don't know, beam, bot drone thing on it. And I was looking at it, and then I turned around and saw there's another vent to go through. And yeah, you go down there and you realize you're in the map, right, that you just saw, and you have to figure out how to get through it. Now that's all fun and dandy, and there's a bunch of like arc charges and stuff trying to shock you. But then all of a sudden, Trevor, this thing has become so iconic. They did such an awesome job. It will kill you.
Yeah.
It will always kill everybody who first gets in there, I think, unless they cheated and watched.
It's great because it's very reminiscent of Mr. X from Resident Evil 2, because it's just constantly changing. You can't kill it. You can't damage it. If it gets close to you, you're going to die. And it's fantastic. I love it. There's little cubbies that you can hide to, like, when you see it fly by,
Yeah.
even though you know exactly what's going to happen, it still feels terrifying
Yeah.
to
But
see
you
the
gotta
things.
listen for it.
Because you know he's coming for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the creepy crab legs, electrical crab legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, The cool part is like you can't look both directions at once, and he could be coming from any direction. So you actually should and have to listen for it.
Yep.
Be very careful. And if you're impatient because you're trying to make it through this little maze part, you can get yourself into some trouble. But
Yeah, you see
I thought
the
it was
colors
cool. And the
change
fact-
too as he comes by.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's got like the light and things.
Yeah,
get
it starts turning
chaotic.
more and more red as it flies by.
It gets more.
It was cool. I really think that out of the whole thing, it's gonna be. We're all gonna remember Trevor for a very long time. They did
definitely.
such a great job.
Absolutely.
Like the last boss, I was like, whatever. But Trevor, oh my god! And I think that says something, that they should think about. There's something so iconic about something you can't kill, but is still coming after you.
Mhm.
So
It's
they
an
need
eye,
to
and-
use more of those knights that just chase you around everywhere. That's what I'm
Oh,
getting. That's what's
Ascended
going to be in
knights, you
Crown
mean,
of
or-
Sorrows. It's just going to be the knights
Oh.
running around.
Oh,
running.
no.
It's like regular Callus raid, but with knights that now chase you everywhere. That you
Oh
can't
my
kill.
gosh!
It's
Ascended knights.
It's kind of
you mean,
like
just-
the Gorgons in a way, like avoid the Gorgons.
Oh.
Although you could kill those.
That's a good note.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was very like not straight out the gate when we first played
True.
it. So wait, can you kill Trevor somehow? Maybe
It's
I
a
doubt it.
secret.
That
secret
might be the
debuff.
big secret.
If you could have done it, you would have been able to do it last week.
Only during
The
only
revelry.
during the revelry.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
But the quest was amazing.
Yeah,
they did such a good job.
it's fantastic. Like I love these type of things. It's really cool going through essentially the ruins of the tower. It's like who the hell put this stuff down there? Like Ada was down at the bottom for a while, and then Trevor's down there. It's like what is going on?
Who did
yeah,
this?
the Vanguard are really slipping here. You go through it.
What if it was the drifter?
Yeah, the Drifter's been sneaky.
have no idea.
Right? Yeah,
Sneaky.
yeah, sneaky Drifter.
That's what Zer's been doing. Actually, he's a
that's
like it's similar. Maybe they're related.
The Vanguard attempted creating
Yeah.
their own robots, and it just went horribly awry. So they just stuck them down in the basement.
Maybe.
Like, what are we gonna do with this,
It's-
Trevor?
It's like
Basement.
Sloth and Goonies almost.
Yeah.
Like, you go down to get the ice cream in the tower, and Trevor's down there. Oh God.
I want some lore on why Trevor. What's Trevor doing? Like, is it actually an evil
Yeah.
cleaner bot? DJ Doomba,
Maybe it's Sleeper Bot.
sleeper
It
bot.
pretty
has
much
been-
is.
Sweeper side ascendant.
Yeah, Sweeper Bot had Callus came and did some little tinkers with him, and now he's Trevor.
That's hilarious.
Do we know Sweeper Bot's real name? Maybe it was Trevor.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
He
Maybe.
was Trevor the whole
So it-
time.
Right.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
So
Like
what does-
Trevor
he's still
isn't the final
sweeping.
boss. Trevor isn't the final boss of this, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
No.
There's even more after you make it through Trevor's domain.
Exactly. Yeah.
Trevor's domain.
Wait, is it
Sounds so ominous.
is the vault before or after Trevor?
After
It's after.
After.
Okay, so you get into a vault area, which is amazing. Like this.
the Cryptarch's vault.
Yeah, Cryptarch's
mind
vault.
you.
Oh, that's what
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah.
There's a Cryptarch, and there's like a secret. You get to a vault, and you're like, oh, there's the vault room. What do we have to do to open the vault? And then, like, behind you, and some pipes, there's like this little Cryptarch symbol on the wall. You go up to that, and then it opens up the door.
That's what I still hadn't figured that out yet. I was running through there I only did it like 8 to 10 times and was fortunate enough to get it done, but I couldn't make my way out of that for a while. And I remember going next to a wall and it just like pops open. But I guess it's got a Cryptarch symbol on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
secrets.
More secrets.
So many secrets are in there.
You make it through this area that seems like it should kill you, but it doesn't. And then you find like there's at the very end there's like this kind of pedestal with this glass thing. There's like this glass encased thing that's been cut open by fallen type tech, and there's something missing, something stolen. And you make your way further through that, and then we found the people that stole the thing. It's a bunch of fallen, and now we have to
Fallen nerds.
kill all of them as you do in Destiny.
That's what you do with
You don't
Fallen.
just have to kill the boss, which a lot of people did. They just focused on getting the boss down. You have to kill everything.
Yeah.
It's like the one time in Destiny where that happens.
one
It's
time,
like,
yep.
just kill the boss and everything else will die. It's fine. Nope, you literally kill everything.
Yeah. You think that was a response to Whisper? They're like, well, Whisper, they're just burning these bosses. Let's make sure all
Probably.
the ads have to be killed within the timer.
Yeah, maybe.
Just
I
throw
thought-
it as a curveball.
Yeah.
Something we're not used to.
I suppose, right?
Yeah, it's probably a bit column A, column B on that one. What did you guys think of the overall difficulty? You think it was just right? Was it too easy, too hard?
I thought it was great.
I mean, yeah, I remember. Yeah, like I actually figured it out on my own. I couldn't defeat the boss because I was only 672, but it took me like 3 tries, just, keeping people from spoiling stuff and letting me like experience it. But what'd you think of the balance?
Yeah, I love it. I know some people were saying the timer is unnecessary. Doesn't really matter. I mean, once you learn,
I think
once you learn the pacing of it, the timer is just like a nice little thing that says, "Hey, don't dally, get it going."
I like the timer.
Yeah, I like the pressure that like there's something you got to get it done because like.
Well, it was like Black Spindle, that's what made it cool. Was you were down to the second on that one. I remember we always barely did that one.
Yeah, exactly. So I liked it. I like the progression of it. I personally like the jumping puzzles because I think it's cool to see what they can do with the world and how like seems like in Destiny 2 they've unlocked the ability to just have these massive landscapes that keep on evolving as you go through them, and I really like seeing that evolve. I thought the end encounter was fun too. It did make me
the last bosses. You mean?
Yeah, it did make me a little annoyed
okay.
at the Whisper being nerfed to 9 shots if you don't have sniper perks in there anymore.
Oh,
so like if a shank just casually shoots you, your aim gets flinched as you're shooting, and it's like, it's just unneeded punishment for something like that.
3 or 4 chances of that. Yeah.
Yes.
I think this one felt more like you had to figure out where the hell you were supposed to go, more so than the difficulty being in the enemies. Because if you're below light, you can get, kind of hurt by stuff, but definitely the difficulty was they put all these different vents for you to go in that just led to your death, and you had to figure out what was going to be the way you had to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that was the difference between that and Whisper. Whisper was a very straight shot of where you had to go, but there was a lot more enemies for you to deal with. It definitely felt tougher, enemy wise.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked
it. If you didn't if the timer wasn't there, you would definitely you'd eventually make it there. And it feels like there wouldn't be any pressing sense of like, holy shit, we have to get there. Plus, I guess the timer could kind of represent the exfiltration of the Fallen actually stealing that thing too.
Mm-hmm.
I like the timer.
I like the speedrun aspect because there's some shortcuts that eventually make it easy, but without the shortcuts, it's meant to be, I think, right? That if you screwed up, like you screw up your speedrun and you probably won't make it. I think that's cool because
there is literally a speedrun emblem too, by the way.
Oh, there is. That's awesome.
What's the requirements for that?
Is that the red one?
Yeah, the red
that one's pretty cool.
At least 5 minutes.
Right? Yeah, you have to end it with 5 minutes on the clock.
Defeat everything with 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Yep.
That seems to be the requirement.
What do you guys' favorite moment in there? I have one in particular. That's my favorite design section. Do you guys have one? Other than, Trevor's obvious, but I had a different one. But whatever, pick whatever you want.
I think the Cryptarch's really cool. Seen that room?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You should spend some time in there just walking around.
Yeah, I'm usually when I'm there, I'm like,
go. But spend some time in there. You'll see a ton of just kind of callbacks to older stuff in Destiny. There's a ton of cool secrets in there.
Mm-hmm.
Just seeing the old tower again was really nice. Being able to, when you go in there, you're like, oh, wait, are we actually where I think we are? Yeah, that was really cool to see the old tower again. And seeing the other secrets that are in there that people figured out today, right? Was it today that people figured it out?
It was really late last night.
Really late.
There's another heroic in the heroic mode. There's another quest that you can do similar to Whisper of the Worm. How there was this secret thing that you could do that would
a ship
with the oracles.
Yep.
Yeah, that would get you a ship.
What was it in Whisper? Did you go somewhere else within?
You
the
had
quest,
to open up all these chests, these hidden chests during the run, and the amount of glimmer that you got told you the code to actually do the thing. But people kind of brute forced it, I think.
So there's something like that in this.
Yes, more or less. This one's not as apparent. You're not getting glimmer. Then that's going to give you the actual secret code. It's there's this giant vault with a ton of SIVA particles, and you have to look at two different dials. Remember how Outbreak Prime? Outbreak Prime, after you got all the TV screens, you had to have 2 people reading binary and then giving inputs.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Basically the same thing. You have to have 2 people reading these screens.
Little clocks.
Yeah, they're little clocks. There's 12 points on. They have to read those, and then that corresponds to some other SIVA particle that someone has to go collect, and like you have to do that X number of times. Yeah,
That's cool. Yeah, I love that there's even more to it.
49 inputs you have to do.
something
you have
like
to,
that.
So you're reading these two, but mainly one console. Sometimes you have to go to the second console just to make sure you know which button to go press.
Mhm.
But there'll be something like green 4, and then you have to go to the green console number 4 and press that button. Basically, you have to input that 49 times, and then you're done.
Is this in the vault area,
What-
or we're not
Yeah.
spoiling that?
It's in the vault area.
And
I
what's
figured.
what's the
That's
reward?
cool.
It looks like it's a ship. There, you get a
That's what I
schematic.
Schematic.
So you have to do that each week 3 times.
Just like Whisper.
Basically, it's same as Whisper.
Oh,
That's
you
what
have
it
to
looks
do it
like.
3 times. I see.
Yeah.
That's cool. And otherwise heroic, is that to get the catalyst?
No, you have to complete it on heroic, and you get the catalyst. And it looks like you'll just run the mission over the course of 5 weeks to get the catalyst completed. Or once you do this heroic thing, it looks like it'll only take 3 weeks to complete the catalyst if you just go do the
If you do this new puzzle thing.
the new puzzle thing. Which
Because you're getting these nanites.
yeah, there's some threads on Reddit that basically tell you how to do it, and it's complicated.
Of course.
But of course, it's doable. So
Yeah.
That's
It's
cool.
doable, and you can solo it. I've seen it be solo because you don't have to kill the final boss if you're doing this part. So you just have to deal with the enemies beforehand, and obviously being fast when you're running. And then also, if you are, I think it's below 15 seconds to put in the input, that actually adds time to your final timer.
Oh, really?
If you're being somewhat quick, you can solo that part.
indefinitely stay in there. Well, not indefinitely, but you can add a ton of time.
Oh, the inputs add time.
Interesting. Okay.
15 seconds for a correct input. Yeah.
Wait, so
I haven't done this yet.
So go-
I need to do that.
yeah, I didn't even hear about that. So I'm glad.
Yeah, I mean, it was
It's
literally
like
done
literally new,
just
yeah.
last night.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
They,
pretty
they were kind of brute forcing the inputs more or less. They had there are 3 different streams going. They had everyone taking clips and taking whatever inputs they had, putting them into a giant spreadsheet. It's very much how kind of Outbreak Prime was originally solved, where just a ton of community information was put in. So that's another really cool callback, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
that's really cool.
So Teft, it was again. Your favorite part was the crypts.
Yeah,
or
the vaults, the Cryptarch vault.
The vault.
I thought that looked so cool.
Right. Watts, it was like the nostalgia of maybe going back
Yeah,
to the tower
seeing
and
the
the opening.
tower again. City looks super cool from this tower. It looks
Yeah.
better from this tower.
And Holtz, did you say?
No, it's just the entire event in and of itself. The
can't
secrets, secrets, I can't pick. I mean, secrets like this are what I feel like is one of the attractions to Destiny. You have the tent pole that is, hey, here are raids. That's what one thing Destiny is known for. And then here's this other thing, this other main attraction. It's there's random times in the community where, oh my God, someone found something, and then everyone suddenly bands together to try to figure this thing out. Yeah, that's one of the other things that Destiny is just known for, and anytime this happens, it's always awesome.
Yeah.
That's fair. It seems minor, but without spoiling the section, but with the fans, there was something to jumping down the fans, and that it was a pretty simple mechanic, easy to figure out. But I said to myself, I was like, oh yeah, more of this would be great. I just felt like it was a simple mechanic that with, because it's not like Destiny's a platformer, but we've gone through those moments, and a lot of time it tends to be jumping as far as possible with the class you have. And in this moment, it was a little different. And anyway, I'd love to see more stuff like that. Yeah, there was just something there from a design perspective I think they could play with in future missions.
They also did something different this time around, was with you could make shortcuts for your friends. So if you have friends that struggle a little bit more with jumping, they actually made it to where someone who's good at jumping could go ahead and give them platforms to jump on.
So if you had a warlock in your group?
Yes, I mean, that's the big one. You save a ton of time. Yeah, if you bring a warlock with and they figure that out, you save a ton of time. But what a cool mission.
We didn't talk about Outbreak Perfected, guys.
Oh, the actual
reward. The gun.
Pretty cool. It's a very fun gun to use, and the damage really ramps up if you're using it on a single target.
And
right.
Especially if you have multiple of them, it's kind of it has a malfeasance type effect where the more people using it, the more damage you're going to do to the target. As long as they're hitting it, the nanites stack up really quick.
based
Yeah.
on
We were using it in Last Wish, and it's like the equivalent of Rat King in terms of how quickly it was melting stuff. When you have 6
Really?
people all using it, it does a lot of damage
Nice.
to the target.
Yeah, it's
so it does change the meta a little bit. It's not just like a throwaway gun. You can do something with it. It's not like
just
OP, but
the base stats of the weapon are really good. It has a gnarly amount of aim assist, so it feels really consistent, really good to use. Even with most things feel like they have recoil. You plug in a controller on PC, and even without it, this thing basically has no recoil at all. So it is a laser of a pulse rifle.
that's pretty awesome.
yeah, it's easily one of the top 5 exotics in D1. So bringing it back, it's a really nice pulse rifle. It's like it sets the bar for exotics on primary pulse rifles right there. It's just
It's just nice to have another chance at getting it when I didn't in D1.
Oh,
a lot of people were
chance for
saying
redemption,
that.
Swain.
Yeah,
Yeah, it ended up being towards the end, I was just that quest was just so involved.
It was tough.
That you couldn't. It was either you couldn't find someone to help you with it, or just
because they had to have the quest or the gun to help you with it,
Yeah.
right? And so it really limited
Yeah.
how
who
to
could
get
help
it.
you. Yeah.
yeah. You had to have one of
really
each
had to-
in a fire team to do all the puzzles
I
together.
think I was on vacation when it came out, and it was I'm not going to be able to be there when it happened. So
Yeah, they definitely. I think they learned some
Redemption.
lessons on that. Yeah, because that caused
It is
quite
cool.
a few people who weren't able to get there. I remember Goth even put out things like, "Let's help people get their Outbreak Prime." Let's make
That
it a
quest was rough.
yeah. It was a
Yeah.
long quest for people to just randomly do.
And needing one of each class.
Yep.
Yeah, that was always rough.
Oh,
I
that's
never-
right. That too.
Yeah. I never had people. I never knew that. I was never playing with a warlock and a titan. I'm the hunter. It was never one of each ever.
What
That
if
was
what if it's the best weapon in the what's the crown?
Oh,
Crown
the
of
new
Sorrow.
raid.
Sorrows.
What if it's
I
the
mean-
best weapon? It probably won't be. Let's face it.
We still don't know how powerful it's going to be with the catalyst fully upgraded, and we'll
Exactly.
know that in about 2
Yeah,
weeks.
didn't the catalyst add nanites? The amount of nanites? Or
like
something?
better
basically
extra
makes,
damage. And
makes the nanites nanite more.
But let's be honest, adding the ability to make orbs is probably the best thing about that.
That's always good.
Right?
Always good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I have a related question, which is: so we've now got. When did Whisper come out? Was that
Last
before
year.
Scourge of the Past?
Last year
It
during the
was,
summer.
it was before Scourge, it was before Forsaken. It was during Warmind.
Before Scourge. So in the season during Scourge, we didn't get a secret mission.
No.
Right, it came before. But we did get it this one. My question is, do you think Opulence, that they'll be like, you know what? We're doing one then. Do you expect one there now? Or do you think they're
Yep.
too...
I'd love to see the Vex Mythoclast come back. It's
Oh,
such a problematic
don't
weapon,
tease
but
me.
man, it'd be great to see that come back.
That was one of the biggest surprises for me. It was like, Outbreak Prime is coming back. That's a raid exotic. And before, I've been saying that all of D1's exotics are going to come back to D2, with the exception of raid exotics. And now I'm like, okay, Necrochasm's going to show up in the Dreadnought. Just is. It's
All on the table, boys.
It's going to be there.
I like that this one was in the tower because it gave you the idea that maybe it was in your vault when it got destroyed, and that's why it's in the tower.
Also,
But-
those
It was
Crypt
just
Arcs,
lying down
Crypt
there.
Arcs holding back, man. They got this in the vault down there. They're not letting us destroy gods with it. I mean, come on.
I mean,
Plus
it's
this-
different.
Cryptarchs, man.
It's technically a different version. It's
perfected.
Right? Yeah, and we had Outbreak Prime. This one's Outbreak Perfected. It's just
So what's the Cryptarch been doing? Perfecting Outbreak.
It's been holding back.
Suspicious.
Well, maybe
Back super
Ada. Do you think Ada helped him? Is that possible or no?
Interesting.
Ada and
Like,
the
yeah.
Cryptarch.
'Cause I mean,
That's a good question for Bife.
Yeah, since we're all professionals in the lore part of this game, yeah.
But I think it has become such a signature of Destiny, and the surprise was unexpected. They did a good job that I don't expect it. I actually like that in a way of making it wait.
Yeah,
so long.
surprise.
It was a surprise, which was nice. But I also think Destiny has set so many examples for other games, but I think this is the one thing that it's still got that's super unique.
Yeah.
The new Ghost Recon's got a raid, Division 2's got a raid, Anthem's getting Cataclysm raid, and people are doing stuff like that. Not that Destiny invented raids, Grats to WoW was probably the first big one to do it.
Yeah,
But,
there's other
Yeah,
ones before that too.
but
yeah,
these secret missions.
So
I just
I want to throw something out here and be the devil's advocate, and
Okay.
I'm going to take Pope's role here for a second. Now, I do want to say that I love this mission. I think it's incredible, and I do love Outbreak Perfected, and I think it's awesome that it's in the game. I get to use it with mouse and keyboard. People who didn't have it in D1 because of those issues, now they get to experience it, and it's an easier way to get it, all that stuff. Agree, 100%. But it's another D1 exotic that's coming back, and it is technically for everyone, but this is like, it's like stock being pulled out of D1 players and every time they do this, there's a little bit more stock that's pulled until like, at what point is it like, okay,
there's literally nothing left you can bring over now.
Yeah. And also for me, I look at it as like, when D3 hits, are we going to be having these moments as a community being like, last words back, guys, again?
I hope not, man.
I really fucking hope not.
Same.
I feel like they
not.
jumped the gun on nostalgia in the Rise of Iron. Like they jumped that gun
with
I feel
Gallagher
like, in year 3 of Destiny. Well, with a bunch of stuff, right? It's like there was a bunch of stuff that we had to go back and get in Rise of Iron. They did what was the auto rifle that was your first gun in Destiny, and they had like a quest for that.
Yeah.
So to draw on that so quickly in Destiny 2's existence, like if they had waited till like year 2 or 3 of Destiny 2 to start drawing on nostalgia of Destiny 1, I think that would have been a wiser decision. But to just consistently be drawn on it, it loses its effect.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, in this year alone, we've had The Last Word, Thorn, and now Outbreak Prime, all brought forward in the game. And again, I do like this stuff. Like obviously, as a veteran player and a current player, I think it's exciting to see this stuff come around. But every time it happens, I am a little bit like, am I gonna be like hype strained in D3 and be like, again, this is coming back?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, you did get Arbalest.
Yes,
right.
They did give us a new one.
That's sort of the question. How do you feel about
Thunderlord
new exotics? Yeah, Thunderlord. Well, Thunderlord was brought back.
Thunderlord was last year, along with Whisper being last year. But like, there's this hype thing that happens, and I love the community for this. And at the same time, it's bittersweet because it's like we get super hyped up, but it's also like, these are the type of things that non-Destiny players look at and go, "What are you guys? You getting hyped up for content that's already been in the game before? Like what?"
All right. And at this
they should
point,
be more
are we starting
excited.
to
They
think
never
they're
used
going to? Are they going to destroy our vault again at the end of Destiny 2?
Exactly.
Like, I feel like they're
think
gonna,
they learned
right?
from that.
I mean,
I think they learned
going
from that.
into D, so we'll call it D3, but going into D3, I'm hoping that a lot of stuff is just nuked and we just get
Same.
the Destiny, and we just keep building on that Destiny. And because we're gonna have the Destiny that we're gonna just keep having, like a World of Warcraft, I would like for them to kind of get rid of everything and just restart everything to be better, to be more RPG like, to be more involved.
That was the argument coming into Destiny 2, though, as well.
I don't mind stuff coming back as long as it's in moderation to the new stuff that you get. And so I always look at like top tier legendaries in addition to the exotics. And so, yeah, actually, Arbalest is all right. But actually,
it's
Outbreak
unique.
Was always a good gun. You get to look at the reverse, which is it kind of sucks to have lost it. When you look at it, it's such a cool gun design. It works well. I don't mind having as long as I have a bunch of other stuff that's coming back as a reward. So
I mean, keep in mind, like every season, as much as we focus on exotics, they're coming back. There's also a new focus on like pinnacle weapons. We got 21% Delirium, we got Recluse. There's the Not Forgotten Luna's Mountaintop. You can kind of scoff and laugh at some of the Vanguard choices of Fusion Rifle and the Scout Rifle, but we are getting. There is new stuff that's coming. I do definitely agree, Tefty, that there's only so much of return that you can get on nostalgia and that type of stuff. So like,
yep.
If they were to, you guys asked, oh, is there going to be, another secret thing in the next season? So it's like, what do they do?
Hawkman.
Okay, and then
and then Galahad.
What after that?
And then Vex with the Cloud.
The list is dwindling, and
we can keep going. Plan C.
There's a lot.
But at a certain
Give me
point,
that
though,
pocket.
it's going to be like, D3 is coming out, and they said that when they put a new number on the game. They're wiping it. The slate is getting wiped. That's what they said. So I'm
fine with it. That doesn't mean they can't redesign an old weapon if the lore works, that you're ahead of. But anyway, what I would say is, yes, I'm actually in agreement with you. I would have liked to see a brand new weapon for this because I've had enough nostalgic weapons, as much as I really like Outbreak Prime and Perfected. But I can see from a design standpoint why we're dipping into nostalgia as we get ready for whatever the next season is. I think that'll hopefully be a better judge of, if they just stretch out like old content or if we really get some new weapon adds while we presumably are on our path to D3.
I feel like it's what Breyer says all the time. Eververse has all these new shiny things. Like, look at all these, look at all these sparrows, ships that have like really ornate designs and all that. And like, how about take all that and put it into new weapons, new stuff that's fun to shoot, instead of putting it into like the Eververse, stuff.
Well, I mean, like some of the difference there is like Eververse's aesthetic where, guns have to have unique sounds, unique motions, unique, movement, reload, animations and all that. They're much different than like a skin on a gun or, some of the other things in there. But I'm not a developer, so I'm not going to say like, oh, one's much longer than the other, but I would assume guns are a little bit more unique in that, in that realm.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously they are, just like I said, animation, sounds, and all that, but they do end up reusing quite a bit of animations and a lot of legendaries. It's like when we were saying the restock of the world drops. Like, if they took a good amount of stuff, did some redesign with the name, added some changes like they do with Eververse, and then give the world drops kind of like a facelift in a way of things to chase after, so you're not getting the same stuff over with each season, I feel like that would go a long way. I guess it's all of that kind of plays into it. But that's why like the nostalgia drip is like cool up to a certain point, and then it's like, well, that horizontal progression in the end game, we need that,
Hey, you got a new mission, a secret mission, man. It's not enough for you. No, I'm just kidding. I agree with the point.
And it was awesome. I loved it. I loved that mission.
That's the glass half full of that part.
Yeah.
We got a brand new thing, but then we got an old thing as reward. And all brand new would have been amazing because we'd be sitting here, right, talking about something totally new. But what I don't like either is when they do add something. The last thing I want is an exotic that I just put in the vault.
Yeah.
At least Outbreak Prime is decent.
I mean,
what do you think this is one of those though?
No,
You're like,
God, no. I'm
okay.
saying like the two that we've gotten from like these secret type things. It's like, oh yeah, Whisper of the Worm and Outbreak Prime. Holy shit!
Whisper, yeah.
Like, Whisper literally defined the PvE meta and still does. As much as people say, oh, it's nerfed. It's like, look at your shot.
It totally does.
Yeah.
I used it on this quest.
Yeah, like I did too. It's amazing.
The irony.
In the last part. Yeah,
it was very important for heroic.
Yeah. So yeah.
Everything in moderation, though, right?
I would definitely like to see them do some new, like have a new reward for like another secret if that comes in. At the same time, I totally understand why it's really easy to just be like, yo, there's this new thing. This other, like, remember that thing that we liked? It's back. And it's like, oh shit, hell yeah. And then you also have just the treat that is the actual mission that you get to do, which is just so much fun to always just go in blind, discover it yourself, or just learning it and doing it. It's great.
The mission is fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah.
Holtz told me
Twitter
off.
questions.
Yeah. But real fast, Holtz told me offline he wanted a new exotic grenade launcher. That's a fact.
Adds up.
Perfected.
That lore adds
Holtz is looking forward to fighting Lion coming back in D3.
Let me just spam my exotic emote, exotic edge transit emote.
Oh, yeah, the edge. I forgot you have it. The edge transit
Guys,
exotic.
I have exciting news.
Oh.
I finally hit 50 edge transits in my vault.
I saw that.
You're saving them? Oh my god.
Since September, Fran.
I don't have the room for that. Jeez, dude.
It
You
finally
don't
happened.
have 50 slots out of 500?
I got, well, I mean, so here's the thing. It's coming back to the D1 versus D2, and the vault went away. And now all my stuff is going to go away. So I'm kind of like, the collector in me has dwindled a bit, except for edge transits, obviously. So I don't find myself wanting to like capture every single possible variety of loot anymore in the game because I feel like it's going to go away in D3. But when it came to edge transits, I was like, I'm going to get 50 edge transits. And I thought it was going to happen by like November. No.
Yeah.
We had a strong start when like every drop was an edge transit.
Yeah.
in December.
To be fair, when it was the only heavy that could drop in the world loot pool, it was pretty easy to get them.
But I think Bungie caught wind and were like, reduced my drop rates heavily. People in chat would be
They
like,
targeted you.
Yeah, they'd be like, I got 6 edge
Reduced it
transits
by
this week.
2/3.
What's going on, Teft? And I'm like, I haven't seen one for 3 weeks, man. This is ridiculous. I lost hope, honestly. And it finally happened.
Yeah.
So
For April Fools, they should have let us equip all edge transit.
that would be amazing.
That would have been amazing.
All right, let's transition over to Twitter questions because
Before we head to Twitter questions, I am going to head out and go rest because I'm very
Get
sick.
better.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you,
some
Watts.
awesome Twitter questions, guys. I'm sure they're going to be weird and goofy.
get some rest.
Will.
Thanks
Feel
for being
better.
on.
Rest
Watts.
up, Watts.
Yep, feel better.
Taft, are you ready? For
I
that?
am. Boom. It was a
Whoa.
little.
Whoa.
He's such a
Smooth.
pro.
It
As
was,
silk.
you know. Okay.
It's great.
It was a little bit of a there, but yeah.
Lola has a question for Swain. Now that the MCU is gonna be somewhat of a break after Far From Home, what do we do with our lives? What do you want to see next? You big MCU fan?
I am a very huge MCU fan. I actually just did a rewatch podcast with Mark from Guardian Radio, like leading up to it. Mark and Paris. Paris. We did a complete rewatch leading into Endgame, so I have talked quite a bit about the MCU. I don't know. I think them. I don't want to do any spoilers, but I think I would love to see
Spoiler ban's been lifted.
them. Yeah, I would love to see Kang because they've messed with the timeline. Kang the Conqueror from the future. He's upset that someone messed up the timeline in the past, so he's going to go back in time to mess with it. But I would hope for them to kind of do some world building, because they kind of like set everything aside for. I would love to see some more world building, and don't jump right back into Avengers movies for a while because we got a lot of it in 2 years.
Yeah. Are we getting like? I'm not familiar with what they're doing with X-Men, but I know a new X-Men type of thing has been happening. Do you know what arc that is? Or like, are they going to do the same thing with X-Men now? Like, have like a 10-year plan?
Kevin Feige said
those
that
are
they're going
moving
to
over
wait
to
5 years for doing any of the X-Men stuff. So,
Oh, okay.
5 years would be about the end of their current timeline of movies. So,
Okay.
we'll see.
Interesting.
I love the X-Men, so I think in order to put it into this world, they'd have to be a little bit more careful.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, okay, yeah,
They pulled off Spider-Man though, and that was the first
They did.
huge surprise.
They did,
and
yeah.
it feels so
Spider-Man's
natural.
so good. Tom
So
Holland
good.
plays the perfect Spider-Man.
yeah,
He really does.
yep.
Another question for Swainstache from the Skyline Show. How long have you been growing that glorious beard?
I actually just trimmed it like a couple weeks ago.
Possessed you to do such?
Well,
It's
before
so-
that,
it's so hot working out.
Does your beard get hot? Does your face get like?
I get like very sweaty here. So like working out and being in a kitchen, it was time to like trim things up for
That's fair.
the warmer months.
I feel you.
It'll grow out. It'll be I've been growing it for years now, so just trimming it for the first time. It was like probably close to briars before I trimmed it up.
I like that feeling when you've been indoors all winter, and then that first time you go outside in the spring and it's blowing in the breeze, and it just feels
it's
so
like
good.
that Nicolas Cage gif. From, it's like Con Air.
Con
Down there, yeah.
It's just gonna be Briar now. We need that gif.
Lord Navarone says, could Bungie survive a lengthy time off to polish Destiny 3 as Gearbox did for Borderlands 3? I'm talking get off the grid, no DLCs or annual pass for a year or two.
Probably not.
If
Like,
PvP was good, yeah.
even
I think
then, like,
Bungie would survive it, and I think Destiny 3 could be a huge success. Destiny 2 couldn't survive it. It would just die.
They could just build off of. I mean, there's something to be said about like the excitement that comes with big releases, no matter what game it is. And no matter what, if they took time off, like I think a big release and them saying like there would be so much hype around it. I think they would be fine.
Yeah.
And they would probably recapture a lot of people like they did with D2. I think they just need a big moment to kind of. Not many people stuck around after D2 dropped, so it's like they lost that chance there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They need something like small drops like these DLCs. If you can't even really call them DLCs, like didn't really bring tons of people back each time. Like Season of Drifter didn't really, and like you're just losing more people as each one happens, and people can't catch up. So they need something big. They need something really big to get most of their player base back.
The next evolution of the game, essentially.
Yeah.
I would play devil's advocate in this case, which is I totally agree with you though that the player base and however Bungie's revenue stream works, probably they probably can't untie themselves from the commitment they've made to kind of keep it going at all times. But I would argue the opposite, which is because it's around so much now, it loses a little bit of that specialness. And we see that with GTA, with Red Dead. It's the Rockstar model.
Interesting.
And we've seen it with Borderlands. I mean, a game that went on to sell, I don't know if the franchise 30 million copies or something, but plenty big enough to take time off. And you know how that is when you take away all that oxygen and you finally give it back. It's just huge. So I don't know. I think there's something there, which is there might be a point they need to do it. I'm not saying they need to do it for 3, but there's a reason why the 2 was the biggest part of the logo
right.
for Destiny 2. Like you're trying to tell people, no, it's really new. But so I don't know. I think they really should consider it. I'm not saying I want it as a fan, but we've kind of seen it's hard to develop games as a service like this. So I'm a little concerned that they, as much as I want it, that they don't explore that as sort of an option. But
yeah, it's
as much as I wanted it before D2 came out, like PC really did fracture what they had. Like I love having a PC version of Destiny, but I switched over and PC's dead now. Like there's not as many people to play with. And I find myself always wishing I kind of stuck with PS4 because there's still people playing over there. Still like that community that started Destiny, for me at least. And just add it more, like spread everyone out a little bit thinner. I love the frames, but
yeah, it's interesting. I feel like
can't go back.
I love the PC version, obviously, but there was this fracturing that happened with the community, and there's still definitely a PC community, and you can find games unless you're trying to go for 5,500, then you're going to be waiting, waiting.
The PvP side of things on PC definitely is in a rough state, but PvE haven't really experienced anything that would say that PvE is not really in a rough state.
No.
But yeah, I can totally see, Swain, how you would, the type of stuff that you would want to normally do, I guess, would be.
Yeah.
So back to the question of like, can Destiny? All right, was the question? Can Destiny like survive a big like hiatus essentially from any kind of new releases? Was that what it was, Briar?
I'm sorry, I was reading the next question.
Sorry.
I didn't hear what you said.
More or less, yes.
Yeah.
Could Bungie survive, like Gearbox did? Well,
right. So I definitely think that they're in a position that the franchise is big enough and enough people have played Destiny that they could absolutely take, like, say, 3-4 years off and release a really big D3. People would be crazy excited about it because, like, things like Halo happened where people were fed up about certain things, and then a couple years went by and then new Halo and people get super excited about that. Like, that is definitely a reality and would happen again. I think what comes from, or like where the question I think comes from, is the fear of where the community would be in Twitch and YouTube and all that, and what would happen. And that is a big concern because obviously if you don't have any new releases in Destiny for an entire year, like, it kind of becomes a ghost town. And then 2 years, 3 years, it'd be rough, honestly, like, from a community point of view. But
sure,
I think the game, if the D3 itself would be probably like 10 times healthier of a release if they take that time to do that.
And D1, like, the greatest part about D1 was how new everything felt. There were so many new people. You were experiencing the game new. You can't recapture that too much in like a direct sequel like D2 was. Like, you can't just be like, oh yeah, I've been playing Destiny for years now. It's not going to have that same feeling. And so many people expect it, that same feeling of a release I felt when I was in D2. And now it's like, I think they could recapture that if there was enough time.
Yeah.
Like, there was a big span between D2 and D3 with nothing. They could recapture that new feeling, like that, new car smell almost,
Right.
where everybody's like, oh, like super into everything. And you have that game being like one of the top games on Twitch. So.
Yeah, they take enough time off that like you come back to it from a new perspective of like, haven't played Destiny in a while. Oh, suddenly I'm playing a brand new version of Destiny. Like that. That's a thing that happens all the time. But just to finish up what I was going to say on that, like I think it could survive it, yes. But I also think that they've positioned themselves so much as a live service that I don't think that's their plan. And they're going to do that. I think they're going to continue having smaller releases until they have like a bigger D3 come out. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. I think that is the interesting happy medium is we've gotten to a point with the season pass and stuff that we can come to expect not. A lot of us don't even expect a release as big as Forsaken coming up. And like, I think we're okay with that as long as we get missions like we just did and, some stuff to just keep it alive. And like that maybe is the happy medium. Go much smaller, but there's something there. And then in the background, work on something bigger. And then the last point I would make is naturally next-gen consoles and that will just help that excitement. So even though you didn't wait 5 years, when presumably I would think they're going to line Destiny 3 up with if there is a Destiny 3 with, PS5 and so on. So whether it's at launch, I don't know, but meaning it'll come out more with those, which would be exciting.
At the same time, Gearbox is to 2K as Bungie was to Activision. And, basically Gearbox has 2K as well.
Yeah.
They all Gearbox also was putting out other stuff at the same time. So it wasn't just like a complete drought.
Such releases as Colonial Marines,
Duke
Nukem Forever,
and
Battleborn,
and Battleborn, which I still think is a fucking awesome game, and it's a shame.
It was an awesome game, just bad timing.
Super bad timing. The point kind of still stands though. Is like they've had another publishing company there, so it's Bungie's like on their own, and they have Destiny.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. Again, they've set this up to be expected as a live service. So the core fan base right now would be very upset if they didn't continue as a live service. So they have to. They have to do
think of all
stuff.
the people in your clan that you don't talk to anymore because they kind of stopped playing Destiny. Like if Destiny were to just like stop
that already
making any live content. Yeah.
Yeah. You see, that's the thing. Like that has happened for a lot of clans already, and the content that they're putting out right now is probably the best content for a drought to date for the franchise.
Oh, for sure.
But it's still not something that like it's not bringing in tons of new people. It's sustaining the current fan base, but not necessarily like bolstering lots of new people experiencing Destiny for the very first time from all that content. It's not bringing in like an expansion.
Yeah.
Deathbeat asked about old weapons, so we've talked about that quite a bit, so I'm going to move on, but thank you for the question, Deathbeat. Dredge and Vice says, you're in the Outbreak quest maze, and you see Trevor turn the corner and charge at you. All right, you're going to have multiple choice question here. A, do you stand there and accept your fate? B, run in the opposite direction, only to be run down? C, look for a nearby intersection and hope he passes? D, unload everything at him? Or E, eat Briar?
Obviously, eat Briar.
Yeah, eat Briar.
Clearly. Swain's,
I would see
Swain's
if I could
cooking.
feed Briar to Trevor. Maybe Trevor would eat Briar and be that's good enough. I don't have to eat him.
You just have to run faster than Briar, really.
True.
There it is. He's just a roadblock. Real nice old.
Most Unexpected says, do you think Bungie will rehire Marty O'Donnell for future music in Destiny?
No.
No, that's no way.
Have you seen his Twitter feed? No.
Yeah.
Sounds.
That wasn't a Marty. I mean, I think Marty did have a problem with Activision replacing his music on a trailer. I think that was a problem with Marty.
That bridge is fucking incinerated.
Yeah. That's not happening. What's the deal with his new game, though? That Ogre game?
Yeah. Is it called Project Ogre, the VR game?
I think so.
That's a good question. Gollum. Yeah, Gollum.
You're right.
Yeah, that I don't know. That's right. I forgot. It was an Oculus game, right?
Yeah, it's been a couple of
was-
years since I've heard anything about that.
Yeah,
Tune into this week's DCP side quest to find out. No, I don't know. Google. I'll look while you ask other questions. I don't know.
Justin Woodruff says, so I barely played this season and haven't leveled at all. Outbreak Prime mission appeals to me, but I won't be able to finish it due to my light level still being around 650. Could Bungie do something different to avoid a situation like this? Guess I'll have to wait till next season to do it.
I've seen
To me,
people
this-
get carried through with like 620 light. So
Yeah,
just fight
me,
two
this-
good friends.
this is one of those things where not all content is going to be for everybody. You know, not everybody's going after the pinnacle weapons in PvP, and not everybody's going to go after the outbreak in PvE. Like, there's got to be some differentiation there, and there can be stuff for, you know, the masses, but there's got to be some stuff that keeps the truly hardcore in the game.
Exactly. Like that's, you know, if you've been playing Revelry, or I mean, if you've been playing the season from the beginning, you're set up for that quest, and that's what that quest is intended for, is the population that's been actively playing and catching up. And I mean, I've been on the bottom end of that. Like I just hit 700 on Monday, and then that quest gets released the next day, and I was like, this is perfect. I've been casually playing this season perfectly. So
This isn't like the Whisper quest where it's like you got to wait 2 weeks to do it again, is it?
No.
What
to
do you
finish
mean?
the catalyst, you do, or to get the
Well,
No,
it's going to
but
be
like
around
to-
every week, right?
It's going to be
oh
around every week. Like you can begin the quest every week.
yeah. Actually, do we even know if he stopped selling ether subs down to the basement at a certain time?
Is my internet lagging, or is Discord shit in the bed for everyone?
It's not for me.
Yeah, not for me. I
I think it's you.
think it's
Okay.
you, Bolt. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a timer or not. I don't know. Stays forever.
I think it's probably around forever.
Yeah.
If anything, I feel like that would be something that they would have learned from the original Whisper mission. Was it kind of sucked to have it around for like super short time period, and then you also had to wait. So like just fucking go the exact opposite directions. Like it's always there. Do it whenever you can.
Yeah, I like it better when they have things like this that are always available for people. Because again,
Yeah.
like maybe you work on the weekends and you can't do it over the weekend. Like,
Yep.
Sam White says, when is the DCP Live versus Everyone Pod private Gambit match happening?
Well, the other birds would have to play the game in order to be into Gambit, so not anytime soon.
Guardian Con then. Fine. No.
Can I borrow
Louis
some
Bustos
teammates?
the second says, with today being the start of another hyped season of Fortnite and Apex being in, with today being the start of another hype season of Fortnite, there should be a comma there, Louis, and Apex being in somewhat of a slump.
commas,
since
people. Jesus.
his insane launch. What changes do you think Respawn needs to implement to regain traction and the community? I wish Watts was still here because I think she plays the most out of any of us.
I love Apex.
It's a good game.
I've played a lot of it, and I'd say that people need to chill out on Respawn. Like, give them time to develop stuff for that game. Don't worry about their Twitch numbers. Don't worry about like what the release dates are. Give them time. It took Fortnite time to get to the speed that they were at.
Mhm.
Respawn
And
was
also-
not ready for what happened to
And
them.
it also took them putting their studio under an unbelievable amount of crunch to do so, sacrificing many of the workers' actual social lives and just generally
Yeah.
being an absolute horrifying place to work at to satisfy you,
Like
your
long-term crunch.
your voracious need for content, you indiscriminate user of video games. Fucking chill.
Let
Just like
let them
idling.
breathe. They came out with something amazing, and it operates. You're able to play it
It is
every
free.
single day, and it's free. So give them time. You'll have more content there.
Yeah, I get the point because ultimately video games are competitive because it's bargaining for your time. So, like, if Fortnite does these amazing weekly updates, which they do, it puts a lot of pressure on everyone else. But so I can understand where people are coming from because you do have other options. But to your point, I think it's very understandable. Like, come on, like it's not usual to update at the pace that we're seeing with like what Fortnite's doing, and there is a discussion that it's being taken too far, like you said. And frankly, there's a bigger discussion that's starting to happen, including for Bungie, and we've heard it. Like, are these games as a service starting to break a lot of teams and just the way people are working because it's just asking too much? But now we're all trained to expect it. So it's getting
When did Fortnite come out again? Was that when Destiny came out?
September.
It was during the Destiny 1 to Destiny 2 drought.
Yeah.
If I remember
It was
right.
September
Or is it during- no, it was during-
2017.
Was it during Destiny 2
Right?
drought?
Yeah, so August.
Yeah, that was during
August.
September
DC drought.
2017.
So
That
the
was when
BR came out.
Battle Royale came out.
No, that was October, right? Wasn't it? No, maybe it was September. It was around that
It
time.
was during Destiny 2. It was like almost the exact same time, right?
So we've had like
Forsaken.
a year and a half, and they've already had 9 seasons in the BR.
Yeah.
And the game has evolved so much, and
Yeah.
like I get it.
Wow.
You-
And I'm talking
you
about
know,
Battle Royale.
Yeah, like I get it, wanting more content for the game. Like at some point, you do have to be like, hey, are you guys gonna update the game more? But the game's been out. How long has Apex been out? 2 months?
It was in
Just about
February. Yeah.
February, yeah.
January, March, April, a little over 2 months. Fucking, I don't know.
Vincent Pella, if we didn't say it, like the head of the studio has said specifically, he's like, we're not gonna go crazy and break down our staff. We're being realistic. We understand you want more content, and we don't know exactly when, but season 2 starts around the end of the fiscal quarter for EA. There was a report, so early July or end of June is when you can expect a little more. And all I would say about that, I play some Apex, but the first season pass was like okay. It wasn't sort of as full as much content, so hopefully they learn a little more and put more into 2. But
Yeah.
I think it's to your point, Swain. It's asking way too much to.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, there's gonna come a time soon when just like way in the past when unions actually started forming, it's gonna break, and they're not gonna be letting people do this anymore. It's gonna be like almost illegal to let your staff do this the way that they're doing it or have done it at Riot. So I don't know. Start tempering your expectations now. You won't be disappointed later.
So is that what's going on with Riot right now? They're having like a walkout.
They had a walkout.
Yeah, walkout because of
They had
crunch
a
time.
walkout over forced arbitration.
Yeah.
That was more for, there's a combination of like harassment lawsuits and stuff. It was a little less about working too much, though that's in there, but it was more about that if you are harassed, you can't do anything about it almost. And that's a problem.
Sounds like a lovely place to work.
Forced arbitration is a thing, and that's why they're like, this is ridiculous.
I've worked 70-hour weeks, and it's not fun.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
it's not human.
I do find it encouraging that this stuff is, Polygon is all over this stuff. Kotaku is all over this stuff, like really reporting on it. Waypoint is all over it. Like getting this stuff in front of the eyes of gamers. I think gamers have always known about crunch, but it's never been reported on to this level. Like
It's
so now, like it being in the public eye, hopefully that raises awareness for gamers what to expect, and hopefully it can help solve the issue for the employees too, and maybe they can unionize or whatever they need to do to like kind of put an end to this or make it more reasonable.
Yeah.
Eric says, question: who did Fran blackmail with compromising photos to get a permanent spot on the podcast? I think you misunderstand, Eric.
He gave us pictures of his hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean compromise?
Hair Snapchat
Growing
via
them
the
all
Patreon.
wigs. That's right.
Yeah.
No, I'm super excited to be here. I had such a good time with you guys the last 3 weeks, especially with Holtz and Wasco. I mean, now that they're back, it's awesome. No, but no, it was great being on. And like what I always tell people, I'm like, I know all of you folks, and I've known you all for quite some time. This community has been so great, and so it was so easy to come on. And I'm just honored that you guys saw me as someone that was fit to sit here amongst you. So thank you.
Yeah, we're really psyched to have you on. Druce says, you are all summoned to battle for the title of Iron Chef Lord, judged by Saladin. The secret ingredient is hot sauce of your choosing, Which dish do you prepare?
Oh, wait. So it's not about the hot sauce we choose. It's the
dish. You get hot sauce. That's
What
the
type
main
of hot
ingredient.
sauce?
Or that's
You get to choose it, right?
what is
We
it?
get to
That
choose
El
the
Burro
hot sauce?
Loco that
that I was confused too. It was at first it asked me what hot sauce do you want, and then it was like,
if
what's
we
your
go
dish?
with like a more Asian
like-
type hot sauce, my answer
let's
is
go with
entirely different.
Swain's. What was it called? El Burro Loco that you were saying
the
before?
hedonist, which one?
Heatness.
Los Calientes.
Okay,
Los Calientes.
so
It's a
in
little
that-
spicy.
I'd probably in that case I'd probably go with like a kind of like a Mexican Asian fusion type burrito. Don't really know what the fuck I do. You just kind of wing it, and then have incorporate the meats that you would cook in it in the hot sauce or with the hot sauce as well. I don't fucking know.
Okay.
Or maybe just be like, fuck it, spicy ramen with hot sauce in it. Instant spicy ramen with hot sauce in it. Done.
I'd say something fatty to cut through, the spice and the vinegar of a hot sauce. So something like a burger. I like burgers, and they would
Burgers are good.
take it really well. So
Sounds delicious. Good God.
Mm-hmm.
I
I'm
could go for burger.
having trouble with the question because I still don't know if it's about the dish or whatever.
What
Dish.
would you
What are you
cook?
gonna make? Yeah, what are you gonna cook?
But
You
what
gotta
I'd
use hot
say
sauce.
is, so here's why I don't know where the hot sauce is that's going to pair with this, but my favorite is Indian curries, and actually like vindaloo, which is a more vinegary Indian curry. But anything in there, anything I can make spicier with more hot sauce, like an Indian curry, would be my fave. But I don't know that a hot sauce would pair well with that, so I'm a little stuck on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Otherwise, don't overthink it. I just like hot sauce on French fries, like just curly fries, French
It's
fries,
always
any.
good.
Oh my goodness!
Go
I'll
for
put
some-
any hot sauce I have on French fries.
I'm gonna go with some spicy wings, buffalo wings.
Yeah, I was gonna go buffalo wings too
Yeah.
because it's one of the few things I can cook.
See, for me, I'm just gonna be like, Swain would probably win, so I'd just eat the hot wings, in whatever competition that is, So I'm just assuming I'm gonna be eating this regardless, so I'm gonna go with that.
Fair enough.
All right, this is a question for everybody. It's one of those ones where we got to assign people to answers. So
Oh,
the
Lord.
question is from Veritas Otis: you're at Guardian Con after party. Who is throwing up in a bathroom, dancing on the tables, eyeing all the drinks, hitting on the bartender, streaking, and 100% sober parenting?
This is way too complicated of a question.
Pope is sober
throwing
parenting.
up-
Yeah, Pope is sober parenting.
Dancing.
Yeah.
He could either be sober parenting or streaking.
No, Pope is 100% sober parenting. Like that's just
Yeah, definitely.
that's him.
That we can write that one off. I think that's fair. There was dancing on tables.
Yep. Buying all the drinks.
Buying
Hitting on the bartender.
Buying?
Buying. I don't feel like this guy knows this crew. There's nobody in this crew.
No, we're all stealing.
Offering up
everyone
that
else's
credit
drinks.
card.
We're all stealing everyone else's drinks. We're not buying anything.
Let's see. All we've got
did,
so far is parenting is Pope.
Yeah, I think that pretty much nails it. The rest of us are all
the
the
rest of
above.
us-
mix of the rest. Yeah.
Interchangeable, right?
We are all streaking. Apparently,
Yes.
like streaking
Buying
and then
drinks.
someone's drunk. That implies
And
you're
throwing
also,
up.
Yeah, no, it's just we're all doing.
We're
that.
in the middle of streaking, on the phone, buying drinks, throwing up at the same time, also drinking more too.
I'd just say buy a ticket to the Garden Con. See
Yeah,
for yourself.
there you go.
Last week I did a video about Borderlands 3 and the reveal event, and I was very sure to mention that they paid for my airfare and my hotel, and there was an open bar at the event.
Those are dangerous.
So I just
They
if
Took
this
advantage
review
of
is
them. I'm
overly
surprised you're here.
positive, you know why.
You know why? Uh-oh. They got the Briar. All his 3 weaknesses.
Did I ever tell you guys like the story of like my first media event?
No.
My first media event was House of Wolves, like the YouTuber event. And I went there and like I was fresh out of college. I thought I could drink. And then I was like, I'm going to keep up with all these people here, including community managers and stuff like that. People that are used to drinking a bunch. And Yeah, I don't know how much I drank. I remember waking up like during the night and throwing up in the bathroom toilet, a little bit in the tub.
We just
too,
answered one of the
you know,
questions.
just roll with it. And,
Anywhere that you could get to.
you know, really just pray to the porcelain god. And then at the House of Wolves event, I was hungover for basically the entire thing. So
Like for all the gameplay, you were
for
hungover.
all the gameplay of House of Wolves, I was unbelievably hungover. How I came out of that with a positive impression.
Holtz goes back. It sucked.
This
It
thing
literally
was
gave me a headache.
Horrible. Oh my god! There's so many bright lights. It's like the entire expansion was like really dark. What do you mean bright lights? Everything's too bright, too loud.
Was that your
too.
first look at Trials too?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Not Lighthouse ready at that time.
I mean, we lost to Watts, Tomo, and I think Derek Carroll. They were the enemy team, and man, that felt really rough. I felt like I was the weight on the team because there was a giant fucking brick in my head.
Yikes! Very memorable though.
Yeah, it was great. And then for later ones, I learned to temper how much I drank, so I could also temper my opinions about what I play.
I love that.
Rezo Chibi Kim says, "What's your take on turkey bacon?"
I actually had it. It's pretty good. Surprising. I mean, it's not
It
bacon.
doesn't take.
It's a means to an end. Let's be honest.
It's not
Like,
bacon,
You shouldn't.
but it's not bad.
I can see Swain's like waiting.
I mean, if you're gonna eat something of that nature, you should probably just eat bacon, right?
Of that nature.
It's like asking for it's turkey burgers, the same thing. Like you're eating something that's like cooked in fat and then thrown on carbs. The turkey bacon's like the same vehicle for a breakfast. So just eat regular bacon, unless you have a thing with pork.
You don't have to like cook it in fat though. The turkey bacon. You know?
Yeah, but like, then what are you doing here?
I know. Like I personally would eat
Why
bacon,
bother?
but I've been convinced before by
I've had
meat.
it on like breakfast sandwiches at like carts in the city, which is like a good because like they cook everything else on there, so you're probably getting bacon at that point.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
My personal take is unless you eat a lot of bacon for whatever reason, just eat regular bacon unless you're trying to save pigs for whatever reason. Because meaning like a few pieces of bacon versus the turkey. Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem
I
like
do
that big
hate
of a deal.
turkeys.
At some point, like you just maybe you can't eat pork. So it's like, you know what?
Yeah.
I feel like if you
Cholesterol.
want bacon at that point, it's like a texture thing. And if you want that texture of bacon, yeah, you can go do that. Sure.
Yeah,
But
It's far inferior. Let's be
Yes.
honest.
but it's not revolting.
But it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not gonna make you throw
I
up.
don't
No,
mind
no.
it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's
far
bad. It's
inferior.
just it probably shouldn't have bacon at the end.
yeah.
Like
turkey strips. That'd be like,
Turkey
oh, you got
strips,
turkey
yeah.
strips. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Turkey bacon. That ain't bacon. That ain't salty goodness.
Blandy McBlanderson says, "You're eating at a pizza restaurant. When you bite down on something hard, it turns out to be a fragment of a tooth. Which is worse? A, it's one of your teeth and you now face some significant dentistry, or B, it's not your tooth and someone else's tooth was in your pizza."
This is
don't
a
really care.
nightmare.
Okay, so
Is
the
this gas station
other
pizza?
person's tooth, I don't care. If it's another person's
Wait, what?
tooth,
Gas station pizza. Hold up. What is gas station
Have
pizza?
you ever heard of gas station sushi? It's like that, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
they said it was gas station pizza?
No, I'm just saying.
No.
Is it like?
Oh,
Is it
okay.
that bad that it's gas station pizza?
It's got teeth in it.
Does it matter? Yeah, if it's got teeth in it, does it matter if it's a really good pizza?
I'm gonna be
I
honest.
can easily answer. I would rather have it be someone else's because, I do not want that dentistry nightmare.
yeah, I don't have dental
yeah.
insurance. Like
Exactly.
that's the first volley to let you know that you're about to be in a lot more shit than you think you're currently in.
Yeah, I could spit out that tooth if I cracked
You're
a tooth.
probably-
I'm not gonna be happy
Yikes.
about it.
Yeah.
If you chew on a tooth, you probably might mess up your own tooth. You might
That's
be
what
in
I-
some
oh, okay.
dentistry no matter what.
Whoa,
Yeah.
double? You getting
Go
both?
go full bite down, like full bite down force, and then feel that tooth. Yeah, you're gonna.
I mean, you've
mess
bitten
up.
down like a bone before. It wouldn't be any different than
Teeth are
being-
harder. Teeth are harder
Yeah?
than like that type of stuff.
Ugh.
especially after
There's
Coke,
it's a
gonna be-
lose-lose situation right here.
We shall never speak of this again. That's awful.
You're never going back to that pizza joint ever.
Oh God. Never eaten gas station pizza, I'll tell you that.
I don't know. I could give it I've definitely been to places where I bit down on like the piece of something in the burger.
Band-Aid.
Like, all right, whatever.
Finger.
A Band-Aid.
A finger.
Finger in a salad.
Turns out, is it your finger or someone else's
Oh, it's
finger?
worse.
I can't figure it out. I can't figure out what happened, guys.
Call me Mr. Butterfingers.
Last question of the night. We went through these questions like really fast. This was like 7 pages of questions.
Oh,
It was
good.
just,
We're
like,
almost
a lot of
done.
questions.
Yeah, and it's only been 2 hours and 45 minutes. I don't know how do we do it? I'm just kidding.
Red Elephant 247 says, from Alabama, 15 pounds of crawfish in a boil is not extreme. It's actually normal/small. Yes, per person. My question is, do you boil your spaghetti noodles in water, salt, and red wine?
Wow.
And red
Loaded
wine.
question, man.
Or red wine. Sorry, I said or red wine.
Red wine seems like like your Italian grandma's like, "Yeah, you add the red wine to the water. Just salt
Yeah,
I've
your
heard of that.
Like, you
Yeah.
add the red
heavily
wine
salt
to
your
the
water
sauce
for your
or
pasta.
something.
That's about it.
Or like
So you don't need the
you add or some white wine or something like to to it maybe, but like just boiling noodles in red wine.
I've had red wine pasta. It's good. So
Okay.
How about add some gas station pizza to your water?
Wait, I got lost. First, it was crawfish. I thought then some people boil
the
noodles
question is
in
completely
wine?
unrelated to the statement.
Okay,
It was a
but
statement-
you're saying some people.
Statement followed by a question is what it was. It was a
But I'm
curveball.
sorry. I'm Italian Sicilian. I've never heard some people boil wine and noodles in them.
yeah, they'll like make pasta with wine
What?
instead of water. But like you
But
probably
do they
shouldn't
mix
use
water
wine?
in it? Yeah, like wouldn't
There's
it
probably
burn?
water.
Instead of water?
I'd
Or do they
imagine
add
it's
wine
like
to the
you're
water?
drinking wine. You're like, let's put some wine in this water.
Like
there's
you do
zero
it to the
reason to do
sauce,
that.
but to the water, you're gonna throw that
Yeah.
out, right?
There's zero reason to do it. And right, if you cook with like pasta, right, you use the water, and then it'll
I've
all
had,
stick
like-
together anyway.
I disagree.
Splitting.
There's a reason to
Oh,
use
no.
it if you want your pasta to taste faintly of wine. Like that's the reason you salt your water is because
Yeah.
some of that salt. Same thing with the wine.
Gets
It's
in
going to absorb
Or
some
you
of
could
the
just
wine.
have a
give
glass
it a
of
little
wine
bit.
with your pasta.
Yeah, the reason you probably put the wine in the water is because you've had most of the bottle of wine, and you're like, that's a great idea. Let's put the end in here.
Did you just drink that whole bottle of wine? No, I'm boiling the pasta in it, hun.
Yeah, I put
like
the wine in
noon.
sauce.
What are you
But
crazy?
I take this. I take
I'm gonna
this.
have to try this. I guess I would have been worried about boiling temperature wine and it turning like sour or something. But I don't know. I guess it's fine.
Should
It's
be
like
fine.
vinegar in a way, boiling vinegar, right?
Ooh, boiled.
Because like the alcohol is just gonna evaporate really quick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I don't know.
Swain's.
Waste.
I'm sure as heck gonna
Yeah,
find
maybe,
out.
no.
Big old box
Test
of
it with cooking.
Franzia.
Test it with cooking wine.
Yeah, do you use like a nice like
You should cook with wine that you
a
drink.
nice Stag's Leap Cabernet Sauvignon? It's like $80 bottle of wine. You boil it up.
I
Okay.
mean, I've made hot sauce with like a bottle of wine that went bad. That was like a one of those really expensive bottles that just
Turned
sat
to
too
vinegar.
long.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we turned it into vinegar and then made a vinegar based hot sauce with the wine,
Wow,
which was really fucking good.
nice.
So yeah, thanks for tuning in to episode 135 of DCP, everyone. We got a new host. We got a long time debate has finally been settled.
It's true.
Morla, by the way, actually got back to us on Twitter about
What was her take?
the crawfish question.
I don't know if I
PS.
want to know.
P.S. to Holtzman, I've never gotten full on crawfish. I've only gotten tired of peeling. 15 pounds, easy.
Oh wow.
There you go.
It's settled. I can rest
Man,
easy.
that is
I could.
that's a two to the gut right
Yeah.
there. That wasn't a
It
one.
feels so good
First,
to be
Swain
right.
came in and was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Am I going to recover from this?" And then Marla coming in with the finishing move and was like, "Crawtality."
Leave it to Eris.
Oh my god!
All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you want to find more of me, I'm at Holtzman_YT on Twitter, where you can find me playing Magic the Gathering, probably talking about food, reveling in my victory that has been this saga
Crawdad
of
victory.
crawfish.
Crawfish victory. Nice, Holtz. I congratulate you on your victory. That's amazing. If you want to talk to me at Teft on Twitter, you can tell me about how wrong I am about crawdads. I will accept defeat on all forms right there. I stream as well, twitch.tv/TeftyTeft. And yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Fran?
Yeah, I'm the new guy. I was waiting to go last, but you can find me right here on Twitch at FM3_. Those are my initials, Fran Mirabella the third. But FM3_ if you like seeing me on a show, maybe think about supporting me over on my Twitch channel. Outside of that, I'm just Fran Mirabella on Twitter, and also in the Epic Store is also Fran Mirabella creator code.
Ooh, I'm about to get my code finally.
Yeah.
For all this time.
Swain?
You can follow me at Swainstache on Twitter and Instagram. Lots of pictures over there. And
you should tell him. You should tell him.
Oh,
You just cut out, yeah. One more time.
Yeah, just go ahead and repeat himself.
Okay. You can follow me at Swainstache on Twitter and Instagram. Instagram's a great place to find me because I am a chef. I take pictures of lots of food. There's lots of pictures of my dog over there too. You can also find the podcast I'm on at Everyone. It is Everyone Pod on Twitter.
I'm Briar Rabbit. I'm going to hope that if you are a cop, you do not find me in my rented Camaro that I have for the entire weekend, and I'm really excited about. This is going to be a good weekend, folks. The wife's going to, I promised the wife she can take it to work tomorrow, so I'm going to be Camaro-less for the day tomorrow.
Ooh,
but the weekend is mine. So if you're a cop, stay away from Connecticut. And especially red Camaros.
All right, thank you everyone for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, everything. Check out that Patreon Scuf code merch in the description of places, and we will see you next week for I don't know what are we doing next week. Or we'll see you Monday, I guess, because you guys
DCP side quest
Monday.
That's right, 1 p.m. Pacific.
Springfield Civic
Live.
Center.
Yeah.
All right, see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.